You're listening to The Pete Shepherd Show.
Welcome to another edition of The Pete Shepherd Show here on the Coastal Sports Network. How are you doing, everybody? It's Thursday. It's August 15th. Just about halfway through the month of August, the dog days of summer, as they say. And again, welcome. Thanks, everybody, for checking us out here on the video platform along with the app. But on the Coastal Sports Network video platform, you can follow me at PShep326 on Twitter X. You can follow us on Facebook as well, SR1029 The Game and SR1029TheGame.com. Powered by Ion TV, CSN Florida, Rumble, Spotify, LinkedIn, Twitch, and YouTube. And you call or text the show, 727-858-6650. Jam-packed show for you today. Got the Red Sox report coming up at 8:15, sponsored by Moynihan Lumber at 8:30. Sports professor and sports business guru Rick Horrow will join us. He is back from France. He did a great job covering the Olympics. You saw all the Olympic minutes right here on the Coastal Sports Network. Miami Hurricane play-by-play voice in all sports, but football, longtime football play-by-play voice. Joe Zagacki will join me at 9 o'clock, and then John Meter-Perrell at 9:30 as well. We got lots of NFL news, obviously, to talk about. The Patriots trading Matthew Judon. We'll get to that. My buddy Christopher Price from the Boston Globe. We'll hear his video after in a few minutes about that deal. And clearly the Patriots are rebuild mode, which means, they are going to pretty much suck this year. There's no doubt about it. No getting around it. That's what it is. I understand why they made the deal. And this team is in complete rebuild mode. And all you can do, just like a lot of other teams in this situation sometime, is just hope for a steady progress. Horrible news yesterday for the Minnesota Vikings. We told you yesterday it was either going to be, there were two scenarios that were going to happen, a repair or what did we say, whatever it was, like a tweet, whatever it was. But the repair is the one that's going to happen. And that means that J.J. McCarthy, the quarterback of the Vikings, is going to be out for the rest of the year, which stinks. And then a little bit later on in practice, Jordan Addison gets carted off the field in a drill with the joint practices with the Cleveland Browns. He was trying to make a contested catch during drills on the first day, eventually taken off the field on a cart. O'Connell said after practice that Addison was unlikely to participate today, but isn't expected to be sidelined for a long period of time. But man, oh man, can more bad things happen for the Minnesota Vikings this season? That really stinks. So Sam Darnold, he's a man. If he can't do it, well, man, it's not going to be pretty, I don't think, for the Vikings this year either, especially that schedule coming out of the gate. So we got all that. The Aaron Hernandez FX trailer is out and looks pretty interesting. We're going to play it for you. Also, Little League is underway. Hey, Angel, how about Southeast Florida? 2-1. Was it over North Dakota or South Dakota? I can't remember which Dakota. But they won 2-1 yesterday. And we say good morning to the one and only Angel Martinez, executive producer, host extraordinaire, the Pete Shepherd Show. The Salem, New Hampshire team played Hawaii yesterday. Hawaii always one of the big favorites. Hawaii jumps out to a 3-0 lead. Then there's a rain delay. And they come back. New Hampshire gets one on the board twice in the 5th and 6th innings. They had the bases loaded and could not score. And the game ended on a line drive to the third baseman. Anybody at any level of baseball, the runner on third for Salem was off the bag by that much because it was hit so hard. It looked like and the third baseman made a great play, stepped on the bag for the double play. Game ended. But great, double elimination. So my New England guys, the Salem, New Hampshire, put up a real good fight yesterday. And in Southeast, I think, is it Lakeview, Florida? I believe Lakeview. That is the Little League involved in this. And they 1-0. They beat one of the Dakotas yesterday by a score of 2-1. So that's good stuff. So, Angel, good morning.
Good morning, Pete. How are you, senor?
I'm good. So I did something I really didn't want to do yesterday. I told you I have this app. I get all these movies, even if they just come out. Now, Twisters, the new one that I've been ripping, was so bad
Right.
that it's already Lake Mary, Rick. Okay, thank you. Lake Mary is a little league from Southeast Florida, the Florida State champion that is in the Little League World Series. By the way, Pennsylvania, New York tonight, Angel, 7:00, if you're interested. The Yeah, so I said, okay, now that I don't have to pay, go to a movie theater and pay for it, let me see how bad it is. So in the first 5 minutes, the acting was so terrible. I've never done this. Like in Goodfellas, where you hear Ray Liotta, about Joe Pesci's character.
Yeah.
It's like, or Jimmy. He's talking about Jimmy. You know, that is like Jimmy was the kind of guy that rooted for the bad guys in the movie. Well, the acting was so terrible in the first 5 or 6 minutes. I've never done this. I was rooting for the tornado, openly rooting. Once one touchdown, I was like,
Oh boy.
and one after another in the opening minutes. It's not the same as the original Twister, which was a pretty good movie.
Right.
It's a little bit different, the premise and all that stuff. The premise is the same, but the acting is much worse. So I started rooting for the tornado to stop the insanity of horrific acting. So there were like 5 characters in the opening, like 10, 15 minutes. Oklahoma, where they're chasing a tornado. And the tornado, once the one that landed, got 4 of the people that I wanted to get. 4 terrible actors, I
Oh,
thought.
jeez.
So I was like, yes, yes, yes. Is that sadistic? It was about acting. It wasn't about, obviously, I would never want anybody to be,
Right.
there's a lot of our friends that have, had encounters with tornado, but this is strictly about movies and acting and everything else. And I openly rooted for the tornado. Not proud of it, but nevertheless, now the worst part is I'm like 25 minutes in, and later on today I'll probably watch the rest of it. And I'll root for the tornado again, but it's just a bad, crappy, shitty movie. It's awful. It's awful, and you can see why. It's already on Apple TV. I already have it. It was only in the theaters for what, 10 seconds, maybe 2. Honestly, I think it was in the theaters for 2 weeks. A terrible movie. So watch it and root for the tornado. You'll feel better about yourself. Anyway.
Nice. By the way, Gas Pump Guy, goodness gracious, says, good morning, fellas. I hope you guys have a great day. Looking forward to the show today. Good morning, Gas Pump Guy.
Yes, absolutely. And we'll get to the Vikings in a second. I do want to start off with the Patriots yesterday. Not totally surprised that they dealt Matthew Judon. This is a guy, I want him to stay. Obviously, he's 32 years old. They weren't going to re-sign him. You get a 3rd-round pick for him. I know some people are absolutely outraged by it, and I understand it. He's one of the most popular player on the team. They get a 3rd-round draft pick. The Patriots do. He'd been practicing with the team after a brief absence. But here's a friend of the program from the Boston Globe, Christopher Price, his assessment of the situation here.
Hey everyone, Christopher Price, the Boston Globe, and the Believe Network, the Patriots Report, here to talk about the Patriots' decision to trade Matthew Judon to the Atlanta Falcons for a 3rd pick in next year's draft. I think on the surface, it's a good move by New England. They get a 3rd-rounder. When you look at the context of the situation, I think that's good value when you're talking about dealing a player like Judon at this stage of his career. New England now has 4 picks, or at least projects at this point, to have 4 picks in the top 100 in next year's draft. When you consider that, as well as the cap space that they're going to have, they're certainly in position to have some financial flexibility going into next year. And that's important to remember because this year, right now, it sets up to be a rebuilding season. If this team gets to 7 or 8 wins, we're looking at a duck boat parade, quite honestly. This is a rebuilding year, and I think this deal reflects that. I think there's a handful of guys who I would look to in 2024 to be impact players on the defensive side of the ball with Judon's departure. Keion White, Joshua Uche, Anthony Jennings are the 3 that initially come to mind. I certainly think Keion White is poised for a big year. He's going to get a lot more opportunity now with Judon out of the lineup. I really enjoyed covering Judon. Judon was funny and smart. He brought a real physical edge on the field. He spoke his mind. He was a real pleasure to cover, and I wish him nothing but the best as he looks for really what I think is going to be the final payday of a long and distinguished career. I'm going to be fascinated to see if he's the type of guy who's going to get the Falcons over the top into the playoffs. It looks like Atlanta is going all in this year, and maybe Judon is the last piece of the puzzle. That's it for me. Once again, Christopher Price, the Boston Globe, and the Believe Network, signing off.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment. I mean, there are others. I heard my buddy Michael Felger up at Sports Hub. He went on, a rant about how sucky the team is going to be this year and all that. And yeah, I agree. There's no getting around it. It's just all I can do this year, Angel, and anybody else is to hope that Gerard Mayo and the staff, with the right coaching staff, that we see some development in Drake May, and there's no serious injuries, and hopefully, I mean, you got. The offensive line, you have a solid in David Andrews. I mean, he's one of the best centers in the league. But everybody else around him, you got a rookie from Penn State at left tackle, and Candace Wallace right now. Okafor on the left tackle side, and in between Mike Amaro and City Sao at left guard. A lot of these people nobody ever even heard of. So, and the offensive line, I don't know about yesterday's joint practice, but the other day was a disaster. Even though Drake May started off of 9 for 9 on Tuesday, it got worse as the day went on. I haven't really seen any reports from yesterday, but he gone. Matthew Judon is gone to the Atlanta Falcons. Patriots continue to rebuild, and it's going to be all about 2025. I think it's great points that Chris brings up. You got 4 picks in the top 100, which is fantastic, and you're going to have a lot of cap space again. So they re-signed, 10 other players this year that they believe in. Hopefully, most of them will work out. But nevertheless, I know if you're a season ticket holder, I mean, you had to understand going into this season that it was probably going to be a rebuilding type year. You weren't going to be a playoff team. Now you're hoping that you get to 5 wins. You hope you can beat last year, and you hope just to see, like I said, the progression of some of these guys, particularly the rookies. And I want to see tonight when the Patriots play the Eagles. I want to see more of Jalen Polk out there. I want to see a lot of Drake May. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of Joe Milton again. I don't want to see Bailey Zappi. He shouldn't be out there at all. And I don't know how much Jacoby Brissett is going to play. And then on the Eagles side, I'm sure the Eagles starters are probably going to play at least a series. I mean, I don't know what that means anymore, but at least play a series. They've been banging each other most this week. No fights that I know of. Nothing. Been pretty calm for Patriots. We actually have a video to play in just a little bit as well. Patriots Eagles about. That's one of those, what city's better? Or, because New England always gets tied into Boston, even though they're closer to Providence than Boston. So it's always like, food, lobster roll versus cheesesteak, which I say both. I mean, what's better than surf and turf sandwiches? I mean, I wouldn't eat them together, but certainly separately. I think both cities and both regions have excellent food. So that stuff gets so overblown, overrated. I especially love when the mayors make bets, during Super Bowls and everything else. Yeah, I'll give you a can of tuna, and you can give me, a chicken salad. I mean, it gets so ridiculous. But having been to both regions, I just Philadelphia is much more than cheesesteaks. New England food is much more than lobster rolls. I mean, it's just they're both awesome. I got no problem. I would love to have a lobster roll or a Philly cheesesteak in the same setting. Wouldn't matter to me. I'd down them. What's the difference? It's a smaller version of a regular lobster and a filet mignon, right? Or any other meat you want to have.
Correct.
So no problem with that. But we'll play the video for it. It's kind of fun. It's kind of funny. I like when the players do it as well. Like I said, the other stuff, the FX video of coming out the series with Aaron Hernandez. Looks pretty intriguing. It looks pretty intriguing. Actually, so while I'm talking about it, Angel, why don't we just play the video? It's 2 down under the Patriots. They start debating, Embiid, Tatum and stuff. It's all there. It's Philly players and Patriot players together. And it says this or that: New England versus Philadelphia. New England versus Philly. It's two down under. It's second one down under the Twitter feed. Yep, there you see that. Yep, you got it, sir.
All
You
right.
got it. Here it is.
I say Tatum, but cheesesteak and Philly fans.
I got Tatum, lobster roll, New England fans.
Anything else but New York Giants. New England versus Philly. This is starting trouble right here. Jason Tatum or Joel Embiid. Come on, you know that's JT on the way.
I mean, I like JT. I do like JT. I give you that one. That's one.
Philly fans ain't crazy. Good way. I don't know. Man, we had 60,000 in a practice. I don't know, though. They ain't doing it like crazy, too. I don't know. We go crazy, too. 60,000 in a practice.
Lobster roll, cheesesteak.
Y'all got better cheesesteak than fans?
He's Latino. He's gotta say that. He's from Philly. He's gotta say that.
Cheesesteak, New England fans.
Gotta go Tatum. Joel Embiid, Izzy, JT all day.
I'm gonna do a cheesesteak. I don't like cold food.
Yeah, I'll go with lobster roll. Lobster roll. I might go cheesesteak. So sorry. I don't eat seafood, but in this case, lobster roll, cheesesteak, and Philly fans. Going New England fans every time, man. Patriots fans.
Yeah, I'm thinking
For sure.
Oh, Philly fans. I mean, that's obvious.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Oh, our fans for sure.
Philly fans and anything else.
Any what? New York Giants or anything else? And we gonna find out what anything else is.
New York Giants or anything else? Anything else? Anything. For real.
Not bad. Not bad. Boy, some of the Eagles players turned on Embiid. No, we like JT better.
Yeah. They did quickly.
Again, it's true for every team, obviously. Just because they're playing for this city or that city does not mean they openly root. I mean, they kind of fake it. I mean, you see Eagles players at Sixers games and Flyers games and stuff like that, and Phillies games. And I get all that, but a lot of those players, it happens in Boston all the time. Those guys, they all support each other's teams. Most really big cities do that. Now, in their heart, I don't know if they're necessarily rooting for that particular team. Many of them are from different parts of the country. So it's they do it as a nice gesture. It's nice to see. I like to see when the teams support each other like that. It's pretty cool. Anyway, all right, Angel. If we could, I know you're gonna have to play the spot here, but if we go to the NFL section on ESPN and Vikings McCarthy, the second story down, we're going to hear from head coach Kevin O'Connell talking about the J.J. McCarthy situation. He said yesterday it was either going to be repaired or tweaked, and there was a question of how much time he was going to miss, and it's obviously the latter of the two, which is bad. It's awful that he's going to miss the entire season, and Sam Darnold is going to be your opening day starter for the Minnesota Vikings. He just signed him to a one-year contract back in March. The other quarterbacks on the Vikings roster are Nick Mullins and Jaron Hall. So we saw a little bit of Jaron Hall before he got hurt last year. Nick Mullins, well, doesn't exactly, move the meter, as they say. Not at all. Sixth season on the Southern Miss. But okay, here's Kevin O'Connell, head coach of the Vikings, on J.J. McCarthy.
Did want to provide an update on J.J. McCarthy.
I can't see it on my screen.
He did.
Sorry about that. No, you disappeared. I'm all alone. Oh, he's coming back, folks. He's coming back. Okay, now I see it. Okay, here's
did want to provide an update on J.J. McCarthy. He did, undergo surgery actually this morning on that meniscus. It was led by our team doctor, Dr. Chris Larson at TCO. It was a successful procedure, but it did reveal that a repair was necessary, which will end JJ's 2024 season. As crushed as I am, for our team and the excitement that we had in our building. I know our fan base felt the same way, especially after seeing him perform really well the other day at US Bank Stadium. I'm the most crushed for JJ. Did want to.
Yeah, it really sucks. You hate seeing any major injuries like that, but especially for a rookie quarterback. And I was really looking forward to watching him play this year because I thought it was one of the most intriguing stories, as we've said time and time again, considering he did not have to carry the Wolverines on his right arm, on his arm last year because they ran the ball so well. It was I thought he looked really good. He did throw an interception, but he looked really good the other day in last week in the exhibition game. He was injured at some point during that game against the Raiders, and he reported ongoing soreness to the team medical officials on Monday. So he's out for the year. That stinks. And then Addison got hurt yesterday, carted off the field, the wide receiver, and but that's supposed to be looks like day to day. He's not going to practice today, but it's day to day, so it's not devastating. And if we could go to Total Sports Prep, Angel, if I may, under NFL, I wanted to get this out there from SiriusXM NFL Radio. Rich Gannon, former pretty good quarterback, reacted to the news about J.J. McCarthy missing the entire season. This is from, again, SiriusXM NFL Radio.
There was a lot of signs that this guy was going to have an impact on this season, one way or another, and obviously that's not going to happen. And so it's a setback for him. It's a setback for the team. You hate to lose your first round pick with a knee injury that requires a season-ending surgery. I'm glad it's not an ACL, but Bruce, I'm a little surprised. We were thinking 4 to 6 weeks tops with the meniscus. You and I were having a conversation off the air about the meniscus repair itself. It must have been worse when they got in there and required a little bit more work. But regardless, he's not going to play this year. So it's basically a redshirt year for J.J. McCarthy. And, you know, it's a shame. You know, this is a guy that went 27-1 as a starter at Michigan. He set single season records, touchdown interception ratio, completion percentage. You know, he played in the pro style offense, won all 17 of his starts last year. I was just really looking forward to see what this kid could do. So that's I feel bad for him, for his family, and for Kevin too, because Bruce, you know, these guys spent a lot of time together. And I know Kevin O'Connell was really looking forward to seeing what JJ could do in year one.
Yeah, it really is. It sucks. There's no getting about it. That's an appropriate word. It sucks. If you're a Vikings fan, I feel for you. It's terrible what's happened there. Okay, if we could scroll down one more too, Angel, because there's a situation involving Ravens tight end Mark Andrews, who yesterday in Owings Mills, Maryland, involved in a serious car accident. Here's Baltimore head coach John Harbaugh on the situation.
Yeah, he's feeling good. I would say, you know what I would say about that? I would say wear your seatbelts. You know, Mark wore his seatbelts, and that was an accident that happened, and it was pretty significant, I believe. And he came out of it with nothing at all, not a scrape. So wear your seatbelts, and we're thankful to God for that, for him coming out of that safe, and for God protecting him in that circumstance.
All right. So the accident happened while he was driving to the Ravens team facility for training camp. According to a preliminary report by the Baltimore County police officers responding to the crash at 9:45 a.m. At 9700 block of Lyons Mill Road, which is 1.5 miles from the Ravens facility. No injuries were reported. Police said the case remains open. The 28-year-old was evaluated by the medical staff at the Ravens training facility. He later joined the team for practice. Again, he's entering his 7th NFL season. He's been the go-to target much of the time for Lamar Jackson, especially since 2019. 347 catches, 37 touchdowns. The only tight end to produce more during that span is Travis Kelce for the Kansas City Chiefs. So he's okay. Andrews is okay. Angel's okay. I'm okay. You're okay. The other NFL story is the 49ers and the Steelers, and this just continues. The contract saga continues. And Angel, if we could go to that story as well, it's on the ESPN NFL page too, to get Adam Schefter's update on this before we go to break. I mean, this is just ongoing drama. 49ers want to keep him. They have a contract. They have a long-term contract available. The Steelers have allegedly have something else in place. And back and forth we go. It's like a bad ping pong match here. Let's just hopefully get it done. Angel, let me know when you see it.
Yep.
Okay.
I gotta wait for it.
I know you got the commercial. Yeah, I got you. So I'm still waiting to see what the Steelers have to offer. I haven't seen it yet, but the Steelers have the offer. The Niners confirmed last week that they had received permission to negotiate trades with other teams, that they gave Ayuk for that. Obviously, the situation with the Patriots fell through, and rightly so. It was not going to be the right place for him to be, not this year, with a team and barely might win 4 games, maybe 4 or 5 tops, I think. But Adam Schefter explains to Pat McAfee the twists and turns of this crazy situation. I see it.
The Ayuk thing, look, this saga, and it's been a saga, has had more twists and turns over the last few months than any story that I've seen in a long time in the offseason. And this has been at a point where at one point it looked like, okay, he might get traded to Cleveland. And then it looked like, oh boy, he might get traded to New England. And then it looked like he might get traded to Pittsburgh. And now it looks like, you know what? The 49ers sit down, the two sides talk it out, and now, and we'll see where it goes, now it looks like the focus and emphasis is on keeping him in San Francisco and not trading him. But I would say that this has had many twists and turns to it, and until there's final resolution, you don't know. But the 49ers want to keep him. They don't want to trade him. They've never wanted to trade him. They've wanted to get a deal worked out with him. The deal has been elusive. The player was the one who requested the trade. The player was the one who tweeted at Mike Tomlin. The player was the one who went on Jaden Daniels and talked about going to the command. The 49ers were not interested in doing those sorts of things. They were interested in getting a deal done because they wanted to keep the player. But when the deal became difficult to get done, when he kept demanding a trade, when other options surfaced like that, everybody's got to do what they have to do to look into it. And so they did. And nothing has worked out so far. And now they're at a point where they'd like to try to figure it out. That would be their goal, to keep him there in San Francisco, which I think really has been a goal all along, despite the fact that in a relationship, there are ups and downs with everything. And so they're trying to see if they can get this deal worked out now. And if they can, obviously, he'll be staying. And he won't be going to Cleveland or New England or Pittsburgh or any of the teams that have had conversations with the 49ers. But that would be the team's preference right now, to keep him.
Yeah, he's going to Carolina.
Save on a new Honda this summer.
Kidding. So again, he had 26-year-old, 75 catches last year, 1,342 yards, and 7 touchdowns. My gut feeling is he's going to stay with the 49ers. That's my gut feeling now. It's amazing how no other teams have been involved in these talks. And sometimes in these situations, my experience that some team comes out of the blue all of a sudden and throws their name into the ring to see if they could get this. But that hasn't really, it hasn't happened yet. It is really down, it seems, whether he stays with San Francisco or he goes to Pittsburgh. But I have yet to see any of these NFL insiders, reporters that are around the Steelers. I don't know exactly what has been offered. I haven't seen any offers. All I know is the 49ers have a long-term contract possibly in place if he wants to stay there. I don't know exactly what Omar Khan has offered, the GM of the Steelers. I don't know, but we'll let you know if anything happens. All right, quick break. Big show coming up for you today. As I said, at 8:30, we got Rick Horrow, the sports professor, sports business guru. Lots to talk about with him. Miami Hurricanes play-by-play voice Joe Zagacki coming up at 9 o'clock today. And then John Meter-Perrell will talk some ACC football, Boston College football as well at 9:30. We are exactly 9 days away. 9 days, Ferris Bueller. 9 days away from week 0 football, which the biggie is Florida State and Georgia Tech coming up from Dublin, Ireland. So lots more coming up today in the Pete Shepard Show right here on the Coastal Sports Network.
Sports Professor Rick Horrow, inside the $1.3 trillion business of sports, your post-Olympic wrap-up from the business perspective. The clear winner, U.S., but NBC Universal as well. U.S. clearly 126 medals, 35 more than China, though tied in gold. They'll settle that in L.A., but clearly top line superiority. Speaking of superiority, the whole Peacock, Gold Zone, NBC, USA, Snoop Dogg extravaganza. Look at the numbers. 30.7 million for the soccer men's basketball extravaganza on Saturday, almost 3 times as much as a comparable Saturday. And then what about Sunday numbers? 19 million, almost 20 million for that amazing women's gold basketball game, getting into the opening ceremonies and closing ceremonies, clearly sets records as well. Not only that, the streaming becomes part of the narrative as well. Overall 16-day viewership. Final numbers not there. 31.3 million, 82% average on a regular viewing day. NBC Universal should be very happy. Something to beat in Los Angeles. Sports Professor Rick Horrow, Sports News Minute, Special Olympic Wrap-Up.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Andersen windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Andersen windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
What's up, Southwest Florida? Jim and the Beef Guy here. Fort Myers, we answered your call. We're pumped to announce the opening of our 2nd location. It's on 41 just north of the Edison Mall. And guys, nothing's changed here. The beef, the sausage, the breaded steak from Maxwell Polish. Now serving you in 2 locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. And don't forget, if you're having a party, check out our catering menu.
Hey guys, when you're at the counter, don't call it Gardenia. It's pronounced Jardinere.
Ion Tampa Bay is the latest news, weather, and traffic for Pinellas, Pasco, Ellsboro, Hernando, and surrounding communities. Stay connected on X, Facebook, and their website, iontp.com. Ion Tampa Bay keeps you informed on breaking news as it happens. Southwest Florida's newest game in town. Sports Radio 102.9, the game powered by Ion Tampa Bay. We'll be right back.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute?
When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you. You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
All right, class, let's hear what everyone did this weekend. Jill?
Well, I raised my older sister to a big oak tree. It was at least 100 years old. My mom said I must have set a record or something. And then we went down by a stream and perched up on this huge rock and saw all of these little minnows swimming around way below us. And then I rescued my little brother from an evil slug king who was guarding him at the bush fortress. And my sister and I brought him back to our super twig fort for safety. And then we all laid out and told stories until it got dark. And the Big Dipper led us all the way home. Wow. Awesome. Where were you, Jill? Yeah. We went to the forest. It's not that far away. Anyone want to come this weekend?
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week and find the fun, adventurous you. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
You're listening to The Pete Shepard Show.
I didn't want to play that. I wanted to play this one.
Don't spaz out because your team lost. Let Pete do it for you. Now, back to The Pete Shepard Show.
Yeah. Back to the Pete Shepard Show here, the Coastal Sports Network video platform. Tim says he will stay in San Fran. Money and winning go a long way. Yeah, I believe that, Tim, too. But he, unless he feels, the Steelers, it's not, the Steelers are going to be in the thick of the playoff hunt this year as well. I agree with you, though. I think he has a much better shot with San Francisco. I don't know how strange his relationship is with Shanahan and with John Lynch, the GM. I don't know. But I do know the San Francisco 49ers, if they trade him, are not going to give him away for peanuts. I'm still trying to figure out what type of deal Omar Khan, the GM of the Pittsburgh Steelers, is offering, because I haven't seen anything. Usually you hear rumors of either a draft pick or this player or that player. I haven't heard anything. Nothing. Anyway, Angel Martinez, you good over there in Tampa? How's everything this morning? Are you good over there in Tampa? How's everything this morning?
So I was trying to fix. Jerry from Rhode Island let me know that for some reason there was a echo that was coming through, not on your end, not the videos, just me. So during a commercial, I had to flip-flop to the backup system, come back to here. Hopefully, I don't have the echo on the app any longer, but it's apparently only on the app. So I had to reboot and reset everything. And thankfully, I was able to squeeze it in just before the break. So if anybody heard the live broadcast going in and out from the digital radio side, that was the reason why.
Okay. All right. And Tim, I'm still waiting to hear your, when CeeDee Lamb is going to get signed and, what's going on with Jerry Jones. And we all know. I'm still, that drama is, it's really, really interesting. I love it. Dallas drama, Jets drama. I love it. It's good drama. My team stinks, so I have to, I'm like Schadenfreude. I'm just going to go, talk about the misery of other teams. And I know my team is rebuilding. I know, they'll be lucky to win 4 or 5 games this year. I totally get it. I just want to see a progression. But if you're a Dallas Cowboy fan, you got to be a little annoyed at Jerry Jones and not getting this CeeDee Lamb deal done. I don't know what the hell he's thinking. I don't know what he's waiting for. Dak Prescott, there's no reason for Dak Prescott to sign anything right now. The only thing would be hopefully he does not get hurt or any serious injury. Always the preamble. Because next year, whenever it happens, Dak Prescott will be the highest paid player in NFL history. That will absolutely happen, whether it's with the Cowboys or not. Because that's just the way. Whether you think he's that talented, it doesn't matter. It's like Trevor Lawrence gets his money, Tua gets a little bit more, and that's just the progression. Tua Tagovailoa gets the biggest contract in Miami Dolphin history. Dak Prescott, if he stays with Dallas, will be the highest paid player, not just in Cowboy history, in NFL history. Remember when Patrick Mahomes signed that huge contract and we were all blown away by it? Well, now he's like fifth. And said he wouldn't renegotiate and all that stuff, which, take him at his word for now. But we'll see. But the drama of that, and then the Jets and Hassan Reddick and Aaron Rodgers and the whole thing is just comical to me. Absolutely. Angela, if you're not busy, I was going to scroll down, but if you are, let me know.
Yeah, I'm kind of monitoring in between here, so I'm trying to make sure I bring everybody back here. Where'd you want to go?
No, I want to go scroll down. We talked about J.J. McCarthy and being out for the year on Get Up yesterday. Of course, the more important thing is how it's going to affect fantasy people. Fantasy football people. So this is on Get Up yesterday with Greeny, Mike Tannenbaum and company.
At the national championship? No.
It's about four stories down on it has to do with J.J. McCarthy and the fantasy impact.
Yep. Here we go.
Great. Thank you, kind sir.
You're welcome. As I'm trying to figure out what
processing. There we go. It's coming.
One other sidebar of this, obviously, the injury news is terrible news, and that's a period, a new paragraph. There's also the question of how does this impact Justin Jefferson, because you may have your fantasy draft coming up today, tomorrow, this week, sometime very soon. What impact does this have on one of the most productive receivers in NFL history? Well, I texted Field Yates this morning. I did a little reporting for us here at Kmart.
Love it.
And so I asked Yates, what impact does this have? And he wrote back to me, less than you might think. Jefferson came back from the injury last year after Cousins got hurt. He's been down the path of questionable QB play. In the last 4 games of last season, he had at least 10 targets in all of them, had 2 finishes, at least the 7th best receiver, had 36 points in Week 18. Short version, he writes to me, he's too talented, the offense is too pass-heavy and centered around him, and Sam Darnold is too average enough for him to fall far in fantasy value. He's still my wide receiver 5 overall. So that's how the fantasy impact of this from our fantasy experts.
Well, I think
Well, glad we cleared that up, because that's, but it is true. This week and next week are the 2 big-time fantasy football drafts. Some people spend a lot of money. Some people spend no money. It's just a question of pride, and you can go on a whole bunch of websites and put your team in, and for nothing. There's a lot of sites that do it for free. I used to do it. Like I said, I do FanDuel and DraftKings on Sunday because I cannot deal, and nor do I have the time or the patience to go through the injury reports and the waiver wire and all that stuff, and having to change this or that. Then you have to worry about bye weeks. I'm done. I'm done with that. I just rather put my team in on Sunday or Saturday, or actually now in the NFL, it could be any night: Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whatever it is. Real simple. I just wait, but. I appreciate and respect the people that still do big-time fantasy football. It is a lot of fun if you have the time. And I know some guys are in some serious leagues that make some serious alleged money on this stuff. And a lot of times guys will put, be $1,000 a team, but you get 10 guys chipping $100. and you split it up at the end of the season. But it's pretty intense. Some of these fantasy football people, and if you lose, it's like hazing in college, or it used to be. If you lose, you have to dress up. You have to wear either another team's shirt or go out in public naked or something stupid. To wear some kind of a shirt like I'm the worst player on my team, worst fantasy football player on my team. So you have to do this, you have to do that. Angel, how serious are you about fantasy football?
Not as much as I used to. Hopefully the echo went away. I just sent out a message saying that I had to bring everything back up again. So hopefully the echo go away. Jerry will let me know if it's gone, but not that super serious, because it used to be, but not for super breakdown. I can still hear myself echoing as the delayed audio is coming back. So I kind of putz around and see what the hell's going on. But anyways, no, I'm not a big, huge fantasy guy.
Okay. Understandable. All right. Let me know when you're back, and I'll have you. I wanted to play a couple of cuts, but you let me know when you're back. In the meantime, a lot of these cuts, for the best articles in audio, there's only one source that provides everything you need 365 days a year to satisfy your sports crave. It's Total Sports Prep. The staff combs through the best articles in audio, so you don't have to. Sports and non-sports kicker stories will leave you laughing all day long. To get your free trial of Total Sports Prep, contact them at info@sportsbroadcastingcoach.com. That's info@sportsbroadcastingcoach.com. Total Sports Prep, the name says it all. Thanks, everybody, for checking us out on the Coastal Sports Network video platform. Follow me on Twitter X at PShep326, on Facebook at SR1029 The Game, SR1029thegame.com. At CSN Florida, of course, we're powered by Ion TV and Rumble, Spotify, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitch. And call and text the show 727-858-6650, 727-858-6650. How are you doing, Angel? You back? Or are you still tweaking?
No, I mean, we can continue on. The only thing I'll be talking very, very minimal because of the echo. I can hear it on the app, and it sounds like I'm underwater with friggin'.
It's not coming through the video platform. It comes through fine on the video platform.
Just through a video platform, it's fine for some damn reason. I don't know why. Yesterday, you remember we talked about there was that yellow dot because of Windows, the update. Yeah. So apparently it updated overnight. And because we don't go live until the morning, last night all the shows went fine. I had another recording that I'll be having on Friday. And everything was fine. But once again, Windows and the shit that they end up doing, I got to figure out what they did in order to make the damn echo go away.
I updated mine right after the show yesterday. Seemed to be working out okay. But yeah, you never know. All right, if we could scroll down, we told you that on September 17th, premiering on FX and Hulu, and I love Hulu because no commercials for me. The first trailer for American Sports Story, this is on the Duff Kleiman, the Aaron Hernandez, has been released. We're going to play it for you. Josh Andres Rivera is going to play Aaron Hernandez, and Arnold Schwarzenegger's son, Pat, is going to play Tim Tebow. So we're gonna play the trailer for it. Do you see it, Angel? It's under Dove Kleiman. It's down after Christopher Price. It's the one after Christopher Price. Just scroll down a little bit. It's Dove Kleiman, the first trailer for American Sports Story, Aaron Hernandez. Here's the trailer. I have not seen the whole thing yet, so here it is. You get to see it.
You don't know the kind of thoughts I have. It's like a demon. What if God made me this way?
Tell me something, Aaron. You love to play football?
That's all I've ever done.
The players, they're gods, they're like gladiators. Wherever you go now, people are watching you. You can't make mistakes, Aaron.
Pops kept you on the field, off the streets. What does that mean? You're soft.
Still look soft to you?
You have so many secrets. Must be a lot of pressure.
The drugs, the sex, the anger.
Nobody's questioning your athletic ability, Aaron. They're questioning your character.
Just gotta get back out on that field. Everything's okay when I'm playing ball.
2 cups, toast her with the game. From full steps to a whole nother domain. Got it. Man's thumbs. Man's thumbs. Man's thumbs.
You don't know the kind of thoughts I have.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. How intense does that look? I must, and I've seen the Netflix and the 30 for 30 or whatever it was on. I've seen the real life stuff when he was arrested. I was on the air that day when it happened. It was crazy stuff, and then everything else. You found out all this other stuff about his demons and the shootings and all, and a lot of other things that a lot of us did not know about. But Angel, that was pretty intense, and it's such a shame. It really is. I mean, the guy, you want to call him scum. He had major issues growing up, obviously parental issues, and he didn't grow up in exactly the most stable household, but neither did have a lot of other people. I mean, he just spiraled out of control. But from an athletic standpoint, oh my God, when he and Gronk were on the field for a short period of time together, Jesus, absolutely unstoppable. They would line up Hernandez he could line up as a fullback, a tight end, a tackle, split out. Both of them on the field at the same time was just it was almost impossible to stop when they were both out there. It wasn't for a whole lot of games that they got to play together. So a lot of times it was either one or the other. But when they were both out there, I have never, ever seen a double tight end formation like that at all. It was more like a single tight end in Gronk and then a hybrid in Aaron Hernandez. I mean, just amazing. So Patrick Schwarzenegger is going to play Tim Tebow. Josh Rivera. Do I know Josh Rivera? What else has he been? I don't know. I'm not sure. He looks sort of familiar. I'm trying to place what TV show or movie he's been in. If somebody wants to let me know, I'm not really sure. The series looks incredible, and I want to know who's going to play. I want to know who's playing Urban Meyer, and I wonder who's playing Bill Belichick, and a lot of other Patriot players like Tom Brady. I wonder if they're even going to be mentioned. Sometimes in these things, those type of people aren't even mentioned. You don't see them, but I got to believe that somebody is playing Tom Brady has to have some impact or something. And Coach Bill Belichick and company, and Josh McDaniels and stuff back then, I wonder if they're going to have people that play them. I don't know. I have not seen the entire cast, but it looks really interesting, Angel. I think it's going to be pretty good.
For the parts that I caught, as I'm still trying to get the stuff situated, see what the hell's going on. For the part that I saw, it did look pretty intense. And when's that supposed to start again?
September 17th. September 17th on FX and Hulu. So, by the way, Noah Eagle and Todd Blackledge are going to call the Week 1 game in Brazil with your Philadelphia Eagles and Green Bay Packers, by the way. So, Noah Eagle and Todd Blackledge. Noah doing a great job. Iron Eagle's son did a great job covering Olympic basketball recently. And again, we're just getting through next hour. Huge hour coming up. Huge rest of the show coming up. Actually, I've got some more NFL cuts I want to play for you though right here. As Rick Horrow will join us next hour at 8:30, and then Joe Stacky. Okay, well, that's not right now. Is he popping on now to test?
Could be. Hey, Rick.
Hey, Ricky. What? You did it! Jesus Christmas.
Of all, hey, whatever your name is. So here's the deal. You tell me to pop on because 8:30 is important, and I got on 36 minutes early. So I to your guest and your train of thought. Sorry, guest. I'll get off. I'll see you in 36 minutes.
All right, actually, but we talked about the other day, Rick, about Joe Z coming on at 9 o'clock, and he's probably not listening right now. It's probably going where Hurricane film, but we want to surprise him, right? Because you said you haven't talked to him in a while. Okay, so why don't you make it 8:40 if that's okay? You can go back and get some more shut eye. And
you mean I get 10 less minutes of you? What is?
No, yeah. Well, I want to make it easier on you.
Angel, you look much better. By the way, are you in charge of the way Shepard looks on the air? Because if you are, I'm going to send you a memo, like of 13 things that you need.
Look at me. I got my Miami orange on. I got to find out what color they're going to wear up when they go to Gainesville and beat Florida.
What is behind you? It looks like Ala Murata. It looks like the Islander.
Well, it's one of those fake beach scenes that you put in the background. So yeah, I wish that was right outside my house, but no, it's just a picture of beach and palm trees. You're used to that. That's what the back of your house looks like.
Angel, find one of those fake backgrounds that gives him less chins and more hair.
I'll make sure to find it, Rick.
All right, bye. Sorry to interrupt your flow.
Yeah. All right, talk to you in a bit.
Bye.
Hey, Rick.
Got to get on video. He did it. Oh, Hercules. Oh, that's you do that on your own time. I mean, Hey, that's amazing. See how easy that was? All I did was say use Chrome. You sent them all these same thing I've sent them. For some reason, it didn't compute. But anyway, Rick Horrow will join us at the bottom of the hour. That's going to take us to break anyway. We kind of want to stay on time. So it is, when we come back, more news from NFL camp. We'll have the Red Sox report at 8:15 as well. They're done, in my opinion. The worst loss of the season last night. Absolutely pathetic. I am so proud of myself, Angel. Had a few shekels on the game last night.
Right.
They went up 7-4. The Red Sox did. And then as soon as one guy got on base, I cashed out. I had Red Sox to win at -135. I cashed out. Took about $4.25 less than I would have if I had stayed through the whole game, and lost because they ended up losing. So I was very proud of myself. I just had a bad feeling the bullpen was going to give it up, and my instincts were correct. They had 8,000 chances to win that game last night. A botched double play, horrible pitching, 3-run homer with 2 outs and 2 strikes in the 9th inning. It was an absolute disaster, and that might be the beginning of the end for my beloved Red Sox. It wasn't a good day for me yesterday. Coming to grips with the Patriots in an absolute 100% rebuilding year. Trading Matthew Judon. Patriots are going to stink this year. Just want to see some progression. And the Red Sox blowing what seemed to be a sure thing last night. Jansen couldn't come in because he's pitched a gazillion innings the last couple of days as well. But just a horrible, horrible loss overall by the Red Sox. But we'll see what happens. Lots more coming up from the rest of the NFL, some NFL camp news and more videos to play for you. It's all part of the Pete Shepard Show. Hour number 2 is next right here on the Coastal Sports Network.
Sports Professor Rick Horrow into the $1.3 trillion business of sports. Special Olympic wrap-up. Vive de France. 5 special victories. 5 Olympic rings. Number 1, 754 competitions, sessions, 329 medal events, 32 sports, 6 million visitors flocking to celebration sites, over 9.5 million tickets sold. Clearly, that's a victory based on any numbers. Second, gender equity. There were 96% of the 196 governing bodies represented men and women flag bearers most of any time. Should be very happy with that. Number 3, social media. 12 billion impressions, double that of Tokyo. Number 4, sustainability. 95% of the games, sustainable games, existing facilities used after the events. Finally, maybe most important, the Olympic legacy. 36,800 schools had a 30-minute mandatory physical activity in primary schools. That will continue. Social impact on a national and global scale far beyond the Olympics. Sports Professor Rick Horrow, Viva la France, Special Olympic Edition.
What's up, Southwest Florida? Jimmy the Beef Guy here. Fort Myers, we answered your call. We're pumped to announce the opening of our second location. It's on 41 just north of the Edison Mall. And guys, nothing's changed here. The beef, the sausage, the breaded steak, our Maxwell Polish. Now serving you in 2 locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. And don't forget, if you're having a party, check out our catering menu. Hey guys, when you're at the counter, don't call it gardenia. It's pronounced Chardonnay.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
The following is made possible by Dad.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling all over it.
The dad joke. Corny, grown-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
Why do you have to be careful when it's raining cats and dogs? Because you might step in a poodle.
And kids that spend more time with their dads grow up to be smarter, more successful.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
And, with any luck, funnier adults.
Why didn't the skeleton go to the dance? Because he didn't have any body to go with.
Dad jokes rule. So take a moment to make a moment and give your kid a laugh. It's as easy as going to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
That's really funny.
Okay, men, this is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're gonna go out there and be an all-star caregiver. It's up to you. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna go grocery shopping, cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You gotta dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments. Don't you forget about the pharmacy. No, you won't. Because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. This is your time to show the world, your family, and yourself that you're tougher than tough. Now go out there and be the best caregiver this world has ever seen. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick and proud aunt. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing. But not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. 1 in 6. That little girl sitting alone at the playground, she can't play like the other kids. She doesn't have the energy because she's hungry. School lunch will be her only meal today. It breaks my heart that this is the reality in our country, but it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. This food is then provided to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about using your imagination, learning, and having fun. These children shouldn't have to miss out on simply being a kid because they're hungry. To find out how you can help end childhood hunger in your community, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
The Pete Shepherd Show. It's fun for the whole family, if it's dysfunctional.
Back here, it's hour number 2 of the Pete Shepherd Show here on a Thursday, already just about halfway through the month of August. Can you believe it? Thanks, everybody, for checking us out here on the Pete Shepherd Show, the Coastal Sports Network, and across the video platform as well. So many ways you can reach us, including the phone number to call or text at 727-858-6650. Angel, how are you in Tampa? Are you a tad disheveled? I know you're doing the job of 5 engineers. How's everything?
Good. The only thing I can say is just I'll just keep rolling with it. As long as on the socials, we're fine. For like I said, it was only after the Windows update. I have no idea when Windows does their nonsense, but I'll probably have to go back in, re-upload new drivers, because every time they do something, the way I have the system formatted, it's supposed to be so that everything is tweaked. So when we fly from one show to the next, everything sounds equally the same. But knowing Windows in their infamous ways, they probably did something new to the audio drivers, which then threw my computer out for a whacked out system, and it just nuts. So, all right.
Damn them. All right, I got a couple of videos I want to play. Now, you know our friend Bill Burt, who was on with us earlier this week, right? So I just tweeted this out. It's one under the show on my Twitter page. I told you his son is in the Yankees organization and made top 10 last night. I think came in at number 5. Great play. He's a shortstop or a second baseman. Plays short and second, I believe, for the Yankees farm team. And they're playing the Somerset Patriots, AA. But Max made the top 5. Our buddy Max Burt. Check this out.
We got Hartford Yard Goats on your Somerset Patriots. Patriots third baseman Max Burt makes the great catch onto the top. Whoa! Sacrificing the bodies up and over. Patriots winning 9-5.
Good stuff there. And then right below that, Angel, we had a problem for those of my friends in Massachusetts, especially the ones that take the ferry to Boston from Hingham or Quincy. We got a problem this morning about ferry it just come over about 5 minutes ago. This is true. The service might be delayed. If you're listening to the show in the New England area and you're taking the ferry from Quincy to Boston, you might be experiencing a delay because of this. Yikes!
Wow, that's insane.
Yep. Juvenile humpback whales stopping ferry service in the Boston Harbor. So those of you who are taking the ferry, just beware. Seems to having a fun time. Juvenile humpback just breaching in and out of the water in the Boston Harbor. So how about that? Crazy stuff. All right, let's get back to the NFL stuff on Total Sports Rep, Angel, if we could. I am not going to do the Chicago Bears stuff because that's still on Hard Knocks. I'm only halfway through the episode, so I don't want to ruin it for anybody who's watching it. We've heard enough about the Bears anyway. But if we could scroll down, Angel, right after Chicago and Denver's Sean Payton on Bo Nix's performance. We'll play these 2 cuts first.
Give me a second.
Sure.
Since I had to restart everything.
Yeah. I got you.
Sean Payton, Bo Nix performance.
Yep.
A few things. Look, his decision-making was good. I felt he was comfortable in the pocket. Thought his locations were good. The number one thing to do with quarterback is lead your team. And, we scored. There's 2 plays where I think he can set his feet and he's kind of backing up a little. We can clean that up. But I like the production with his group while he was in there, and ultimately that's their job. The whole group as a whole, and when I'm talking about the 3 of them, we didn't have any sacks. There were a lot of positives.
Okay, next cut down, Sean Payton, knowing why he has not named Bo Nix as the starting quarterback yet from Up and Adams.
A bit of the jig is up, though, Coach. It's like we know he's the guy. Why not hand him the keys like Chicago did with Caleb?
Playing.
What do you mean?
They have one more song.
What are you waiting for? So you're waiting to see what this next preseason game is?
This next game will be important.
Why does he have to earn it? What is the problem with just naming it?
I think it's important to the team that they see. Right. In other words, I'm not naming the starting cornerback between Riley and Mathis.
Yeah.
Meaning, I'm not doing that with these other positions at receiver, and so it would be different if you just done it had made a decision with one position, and I'm not ready to do it with all the positions. So look, he's playing well. He now there are a few things in the game that we got to clean up, and I'm encouraged with how he's playing, just as I am with Stiddy and Zach. But I think there is a process to it, and
Stiddy.
We discussed this back in minicamp when we saw the Bears named Caleb their starter in the spring. And
no veteran. They didn't bring anybody in.
Yeah, and I understand that, but philosophically we were going to be different, and we were just going to. The timeline is just going to be different, but we're getting close. If you come back in the next week or two, I think it might time up.
All right, Stidham, meaning Jarrett Stidham and Zach Wilson. I think in the end, Bo Nix will be the man. He really, my God, you talk about a progression. What that young man did from when he was at Auburn and all that pressure, and he was mediocre to at best, and then goes to Oregon and just. Talk about a renaissance of a career right there. If we could scroll a couple down after, I don't want to do Michael Pittman. How about Patrick Mahomes, Angel, told us on Sirius XM NFL Radio how important Alex Smith was to his career development.
I want to hear from you. You come in as a rookie. You have to learn how to manage as a professional from week to week. What did Alex Smith mean to you when you came into the league? Come on, Bruce.
I always give this man his flowers, but I truly mean it. I came in as I don't want to say immature, but I came in and I was just relying on my talent is what I always think about. I relied on I can make stuff happen. I show up. We just play football. And then I watched how Alex worked, and I was like, let me just try to do some of that stuff. And I remember working all year long, and you don't know because I'm not playing, but I'm working. And Alex is in, I'm in. I'm just going to try to just learn as much as possible. And that week 17 game I played, and I remember being like, man, when you work like this and know what you're going to do before the snap, it makes everything easier. And so that was the process that I still do. I don't know if he knows, I still do the exact same process that he was doing that first year. And I teach it to all the new guys, and they do the same thing with me. And it's that his blueprint of how to be a successful quarterback in the NFL is what I picked up on. And then he gave me the advice. I think that's the biggest thing. Some guys can be, I can't say bad words. They can be mean about about helping a guy out that's coming in, a highly drafted guy. But he taught me. He taught me a lot of stuff, and then I try to utilize that stuff to make myself better. And it's taken off, man.
All right, Patrick Mahomes on Sirius XM NFL Radio, and the next cut down, Patrick Mahomes had some not so flattering things to say about his teammate Travis Kelce. He won't play golf with him.
First question. Brought up, how's your golf game, man? We didn't get to play. We didn't get to play this offseason. How is it?
It's actually gotten pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. So my goal was to take an off season off of all the tournaments.
Yeah.
And I'm coming back next year with a vengeance.
The odds are gonna be the odds will still be high on you, and you can place a bet on yourself and just clean house.
Well, the thing is, I'm not gonna win Tahoe, but I'm gonna compete. So I'm gonna stay away from Travis. He gets me off my game. Gets me off my game. He's a bad influence. That by day 3, I'm just like I can't be with him for more than 2 days.
Is there any unfair advantage putting a golf hole in your backyard?
Yeah, exactly.
Short game's gotten better. Yeah. Short game has gotten better. I still have yet to hit a hole in one in that hole. I've hit
in your own backyard. No holes in one.
What's 130 yards? But I've gotten close. But I've hit 1,000 minimum golf balls, and I've been really close. Never got one in.
I saw it's Sterling's out there even hitting balls now.
Sterling's swinging it.
Come on.
Bronze is swinging it.
Yeah.
I tried to threaten Brittany because she doesn't like to golf. I said, one day I'm going to take the kids and we're going to go golf. And she said, please do.
Yeah.
So wait, we all want to know, you got a golf hole in the backyard, you hit 1,000 balls. When you go to a range, there's a guy driving around with the cage, who has to worry about getting hit. How are you picking up all the golf balls in the backyard?
I have to do it, unfortunately. I've made it a game, though, so I'm smart. I'm gotten smart as a dad, and we go down there, and I always.
Oh, yeah. Here we go.
Who gets the most golf balls?
Here we go.
Yeah.
It's like an Easter egg hunt, right? Yeah, somebody's getting extra licorice tonight if they get more golf balls.
I will say the bunker has become a big sandbox for the kids. They love it.
I love it.
All right, that's some good stuff there. Meanwhile, let's head to Las Vegas. Aiden O'Connell says on having practice in front of a huge crowd of fans.
Your best practice of the camp. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it was a good practice. There was definitely some up and down, some plays I left in the field, and some operation stuff that could have been better. But really, with every practice, some good and some bad. And so it was good to obviously hit a couple deep balls. But it's just about being consistent.
How nice of a security blanket is it to have Devontae back?
Yeah, it's great. Obviously, you guys saw today. He's an awesome player. We definitely missed him. So it's been fun to just really hang out with him the last few days, and then obviously get back throwing with him has been a lot of fun.
What was it like getting in front of Raider Nation again?
Yeah, it was just amazing. They're almost like deafening to start the practice with the Raider chant, and so just super fun for us to get in front of the fans. Obviously, we're coming up on our first home game of the year this week, so yeah, just a lot of fun. They always show out. We weren't surprised by that, but it was awesome.
All right. If you scroll down to page 2 there, Angel, San Francisco's George Kittle roasted reporters covering the 49ers. This is from Sports California.
You guys watch us all the time, but there's a special teams period where I catch some footballs, and I like to observe you guys. And you guys really need to up your sneaker game. It's absolutely atrocious. I got some Vomeros. Those are fire. And Grant wears Vans every single day. New Balances. They look like Vans. Yeah, those are Vans. It's okay. But you wear those every day, so I need you to switch those up. But I observe all your guys' shoes, and I am disappointed in you guys as a community. So if we could up those, please. It's year 8, guys. Let's figure this out together. Okay, now it's all you guys.
I'm glad he's paying attention to that stuff.
Sure.
I'm glad he's paying attention to it. Meanwhile, next cut down, Tennessee quarterback Will Levis on the new offense in Tennessee. This is from SiriusXM NFL Radio.
I think just with the philosophy of what we're trying to do from a play calling standpoint and in the drop back passing game and all the different things we're doing in the pass game, there are kind of more gimmies, I feel like, and especially in different concepts maybe that I've never really majored in the past, but stuff that's opened my eyes as to players that we can get the ball easily. And understanding that the more we take those too, the more it's going to open up the stuff behind it. So, it's just playing that game of not forcing the ball and making sure that you're taking it when you have it, and also recognizing when they're able to react off of it and throw the compliment.
Do those things, those plays, the gimmies, as you say, continue to reveal themselves to you the more and more you work in this offense?
Yeah, I think that's been the coolest part is that we've been able to learn from mistakes in that first week of camp. And, we're on the field and we try to, make one decision or throw an option that we thought might have been the favorable decision pre-snap, and then going back and watching the film and understanding that there's an option out there that could be even more of a gimme the more we think about it. And as we get to see our defense and understand them more, they've done a great job of mixing up the looks that we've seen. And I feel like we've just done a good job as the receivers and quarterbacks knowing kind of when they are the answer in those certain situations, and them responding well by catching the ball and getting upfield too.
All right, meanwhile, the more important stuff for Mr. Will Levis in Tennessee. I saw this video yesterday. It was after the show. It's very metrosexual-ish, if you know what I mean. Will Levis, he has a new brand of cologne, a mayo-infused cologne. I don't know if he means mayonnaise or Gerard Mayo. I don't know what it is, but Will Levis on his new mayo-infused cologne.
Like this. I don't know. We'll find out. But it's going to be proper to sit up there for everyone to see as much exposure as we can get there. But it was a pretty cool moment to share that yesterday. Had a lot of fun with it, and it was received pretty well. So
sold out in 1 minute. I had it in my cart. By the time I went to do the stuff, I couldn't get it. I mean.
Oh, yeah, it sold out in 1 minute. Yeah, I guess there was another drop this morning. I don't know if you were able to get in on that one, but yeah, we didn't expect how people were going to react to it, but I think it was like an hour or something and it was gone. And $8 a bottle, it's going for a good cause, and it's just a really fun partnership that we continue to do fun things. So it's been amazing to kind of see how it's all unraveled. They said it smells great. And that's everyone's first comment is like they're just so surprised that it doesn't smell unpleasant. And it smells good, in fact, is what I would say. I wouldn't say. I'll pass it around too if you guys want to take a sniff. But
Oh my God.
I think it's more citrusy, like fresh than anything. I don't know. I likened it to like a certain scent that I couldn't put my finger on, of like a hotel or resort, like lobby, something like that, like a chill lab.
That's it.
Yeah, a lot. I still got some people to get back to, especially I haven't really looked at my socials, but yeah, a lot of people, me about something I didn't know I'd get texted about, so pretty funny.
All right, you have the video. Hey, Don, thanks for the kind words. Glad you found the show. Hey, guys, from Springfield, Mass. Miss Pete Shep up here. Hey, Don, I'm down here. It doesn't really matter now where anybody is in this day and age of digital stuff. You can follow the show. I do a lot of New England stuff and already have, and more coming. They've been lead story. The Patriots, one of them, because of the Judon deal, the Vikings, a lot of other stuff. But we talk about it. Okay, here's the video.
They try to define you, but you are the ingredient to your own success.
Oh my God.
Luscious, eggy, smell like greatness. Will Levis, number 8, Parfum de Mayonnaise.
Mayonnaise. Now, if we can play the TSP cut, the next one down, because he talks about how long it took for them to make that hideous thing. But I'm glad it's all going to charity. It's all in good fun. I could have seen Brady doing something like that.
I take everything I do very seriously. I want to do everything that I do to the best of my ability. And as silly and goofy as that was, the more serious I took it, the funnier I knew it would be. So I really did make sure that I liked the takes that I had, and I took enough, and that I was in the zone. I felt good about it, and I think it was pretty believable.
How involved were you with the development of the fragrance, or did somebody else handle that?
No, they did a great job of keeping me, involved throughout the testing process, and by the end of it, I was very, very pleased with what we'd come down to. So, I got sent little vials to test, but it couldn't have turned out any better. I don't think there were definitely some stages when it was a little too mayo-y, I'd say, but it was.
I don't know what that means.
Not really, really good, I think.
It takes to get it the way you wanted it.
We filmed the whole thing here at the facility. Very thankful to the organization for allowing us to do that. And we were here from around 4 o'clock to midnight. So it was like an 8-hour shoot, long day. We were probably out on one of these fields for an hour and a half for a 1.5 second clip. When I'm smelling the jar, but all of it was worth it. And very thankful for how their whole media team, marketing team, and the directors of the shoot and all that. It was a very well put together production, and just really glad how it turned out.
Send the proceeds go to a good cause. Where they go?
Oh, we haven't discussed it yet, but we know that it's going to be going to some charitable donations. So, I'm excited to figure that out with them and see where that goes.
How do you think things went today? Just quick.
All right, is that going to be better than Kramer's The Beach? Remember that Calvin Klein turned down and then they went back. So I don't know, $8 a bottle is a very cheap cologne, but the cologne most colognes I get are between $20 and $60, and because I work from home now, I don't have to use stuff. I used to put a little bit on before work, but his is called Mayo 8, whatever it is. It's $8 a bottle. $8 a bottle. It's a little cheap for me. A little cheap, but it's going to a good cause, right? So why not?
Exactly.
I want to get to the college football news, Angel. If I impose upon you again to go to ESPN's page on NCAA football. I know we're going to have to play a commercial to scroll down about, because I'm so sick and tired of Deion Sanders. So is Paul Feinbaum. It's 1, 2, 3, about 4 stories down. Feiney. Deion is a superstar, but Colorado is nothing, which is my sentiments exactly. And I think Deion, when he starts the other day when we played the clip, he's like, he wouldn't talk to the reporter last Saturday from CBS, and say, "I'm looking at you man to man." No, you're not. You got your sunglasses on. that are way too expensive for 99% of the country. I know it's your brand. I'm so sick of hearing that too. It's your brand. Take the goddamn sunglasses off as a coach and look at somebody in the face. Look at somebody eye to eye. So ridiculous. Your team stinks. And Viney talked about it as well yesterday. On Get Up. The only thing that was also funny yesterday, L. Duncan filling in on First Take. I saw a little bit of that, which is with Stephen A., who had just come back from vacation, was on remote, and then Mad Dog Russo. And to hear, at least she kind of follows Georgia football a little bit. To hear them try to talk about college football was absolutely embarrassing. It's like, talk about a bunch of people that need to stay in their lane. Don't have Chris Russo talk about college football. And Stephen A., all he can say is Alabama, Alabama, Alabama. That's all he can say. That's the only team that ever comes out of his mouth is Alabama, Alabama. But if we can play that video, Angel, whenever you see it.
Yep. Let me switch this.
Switch that, do that. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, here it is. Yes, I see it.
Burning question. What's Deion Sanders going to do in his second season at Colorado?
I think they're looking at about a 500 record, which isn't all that impressive when you consider the amount of energy and hype and overhype, I should say, to this program. It's Deion Sanders is a superstar, Greeny. We all know that, but Colorado is nothing. They're just another school in the middle of nowhere in a third-rate league. And the problem I have with Deion Sanders is his attitude. Last year, he embraced it. He was the king of college football for 5 weeks. He's already off to a terrible start. He started a food fight last weekend with the local media, which is a big mistake. He's very defensive, and I think he's in for a very difficult second year in Boulder.
What do you think, Heather? What do you think the expectations are for this team this season?
Well, I agree with Paul that Deion Sanders is going to make more headlines for what he continues to say this year than how many games he's going to win. I would disagree that they are a nothing burger of a team because they have Travis Hunter, who might be the best player in the country in terms of all that he can do on the field. Shedeur Sanders is a good quarterback. They have to protect him. But the bottom line is this. They are not going to compete for the Big 12 title, and we're not even going to whisper about them in terms of the college football playoff until they start improving on both sides. Sneaky Hembo stat for you. This is really good. Colorado was outrushed last year by 1,290 yards, the worst margin in a Power 5 by 300 yards. So they got to get better.
And I don't think they're going to. I think it's all about him. If Deion Sanders wasn't coach of that team, no one would give a shit at all. They open up against North Dakota State, a very, very good FCS school. That's not going to be in the cakewalk. They go to Nebraska. That's going to be a loss. At Colorado State, they should win that game, but who knows? Home against Baylor, that's a loss. At UCF, that's a loss. Home against Kansas State, that's probably a loss. At Arizona, one of the best teams in the Big 12 that's left this year, that's probably a loss. Home against Cincinnati, don't know what the Bearcats are going to be like. But at Texas Tech, that's probably going to be a loss. Home against Utah, that's probably going to be a loss. At Kansas, a ranked team right now, a much improved Kansas Jayhawk team, be a loss. And then home against Oklahoma State. I don't see them. So I'm looking at 4 wins tops, 3 or 4 wins for that team. And then we'll see what happens when his son leaves and he says he's never going to leave and this, that, and the other thing. I did want to play one more cut, Angel, on my Twitter account, if I may. It is the now the third story down, continuing with the theme about Greeny and Finey and Heather Dinich, great reporter, on who will win the national championship this season. This was on Get Up yesterday. Go ahead.
I like Georgia. I'm not as sold on Georgia as I was last year, and the reason I'm a little bit leery is Ohio State may have the best roster, as we continue to say, but Georgia is still the pick to win it all.
Georgia or the field? Heather, you said you got the field, but do you have the Bulldogs?
Of course. How can I pick against Georgia given this specific question?
All right, and I'm going to go a different way. I got to rep my conference. I'm going with Ohio State. Paul told me they cost $20 million for their players this year. They're going to get their money's worth in Columbus. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. I like Georgia.
It's certainly that's certainly most people's pick, 1 or 1A. But it is interesting. The preseason number 1 pick in the AP poll, it's not an automatic that they're going to win the national championship. So it is the SEC. It is the best league in the country. And we shall see. Ohio State, if Ryan Day doesn't at least get to the title game this year, it's going to be really interesting. Beating Michigan or not beating Michigan, but winning the national championship would save his job. Losing to Michigan and not getting to the national championship, see you later. See you later. All right, quick break. Rick Horrow, sports business guru, the professor, going to join us in just a few minutes. Later on at the top of the hour, top of next hour, Joe Zagacki, play-by-play voice for the University of Miami, will join me as well at 9:30. John Meter-Perrell, BC play-by-play voice and ACC guru. He'll join me at 9:30. All part of the Pete Shepard Show on the Coastal Sports Network.
Ion Tampa Bay is the latest news, weather, and traffic for Pinellas, Pasco, Ellsboro, Hernando, and surrounding communities. Stay connected on X, Facebook, and their website, iontb.com. Ion Tampa Bay keeps you informed on breaking news as it happens. Southwest Florida's newest game in town. Sports Radio 102.9, the game powered by Ion Tampa Bay. We'll be right back.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I gotta tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so...
Interesting?
Yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect as human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together by having the courage to start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding. Whoa! Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
Woohoo! Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie. So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
You want the best in sports and entertainment?
You got it. Now, back to the Pete Shepard Show.
Back here it is indeed, the Pete Shepard Show here on the Coastal Sports Network. Rick Horlow, sports professor, business guru, going to join us fresh off his incredible journey in France for the Olympics. Did a great job covering it, not only for us, but some other outlets around the country. Follow us on the Coastal Sports Network video platform. As always, follow me at PShep326 on Twitter X, on Facebook, SR1029thegame.com, IONTB, CSN Florida, Rumble, Spotify, LinkedIn, Twitch, and YouTube. And call and text the show 727-858-6650. While we wait for Rick to join us, Angel, what's coming up today on the network, or anything you want to talk about the network and downloading the apps or anything like that?
Nope, just as always, we always ask you guys and ladies to do us a favor and download the apps. It's super important for us, at least here on the network, and it's very, very much appreciated. So visit sr1029thegame.com, and you guys can download the app directly from the homepage. Yesterday, I actually put out a tweet, and if you guys look back on my profile, sr1029thegame, you guys can see where I have the link available for you. So visit sr1029thegame.com. We do appreciate it. They love the support. And also, I believe the echo has gone away, which is nice as I'm doing the double duties once again. But we would like to welcome, which I shared this yesterday with Pete. Let me go find it once again. See, I moved it to one area, and like everything else, it likes to move by itself.
I know, Vietnam. Hello.
Yep, that was one. As soon as son of a gun, I swear it, I put things in order. When we go to break and we come back, it's like something just magically comes in and screws around with me. I'll find it. I swear it. Oh, here we go. Nope. Yep, there it is. So wait a minute. It's screwed up. Not the one that I wanted. Anyways, those were the other ones. But I know one was, let me get my other handy dandy item, which is the phone. But welcome Panama, Slovakia, Bratislava, Vietnam, the new listening countries. We do appreciate you guys not only listening in, but also hearing the replay of the audio. We do appreciate it because it's a lot of hard work to throw this stuff together, but I do it because I love it. And if I don't, then one of these days you guys are going to find me hung in a virtual closet somewhere because it drives me bananas. I say that. Yes, folks, take it easy before I start getting all kinds of freaking hate mail and stuff. But no, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work. Love Pete. He knows this, and I just try to make him shine every single morning. That's the whole idea behind it. I don't ever put the spotlight on myself. Why? Because that's not what I do. They named me Angel for a reason, and that's how I do it.
You are an angel. You absolutely are an angel. I just tweeted out something a little bit controversial, and this is all, subjective. And I think it's from yesterday. I caught the end of this, and I completely disagree. But this is Mad Dog yesterday before Rick Horrow joins us. What he considers the top 5 shots in men's basketball history from First Take. It should be the first story there under the show, as I just tweeted it out. And I completely disagree with a lot of this stuff from Mad Dog, but see what you think.
On our list, Don Nelson, his jumper against the Lakers in Game 7 in 1968-69.
God.
Here's the highlight.
I loved that game.
That
basket was a great shot out.
right there is the last championship Bill Russell ever won. This is in 68-69.
Wow,
This is Game 7 of the NBA Final, and West, who averaged 40-something in the series, didn't win his title, and Wilt got the coach fired. That is an incredibly significant shot in the history of professional basketball.
Disagree, as much as I love it.
Number 4, because it represented their first title in any sport since 1964, and LeBron went back to play, Kyrie Irving shot against Curry, who was awful, by the way, in the game. This jumper here, which got Cleveland a title, that in a block shot against Iguodala, that shot by Kyrie, in my eyes, as a sports fan, NBA included, for 60 years, is the 4th most significant shot in the history of the NBA. Now, I made this a college scenario as well, and so number 3, this is not college, but
No, keep going.
Number 3
like,
is the baby hook by Magic. This is in Game 4 against the Celtics in 87. 2-1, Lakers lead. Celtics are reviving. They were the defending champ. And the baby hook over McHale and Parrish with Kareem sitting there. Magic with the great rally. That is the 3rd most significant shot in the
Bird missed a 3 at the buzzer.
Since
Everybody thought it was
There's not
in.
even a debate. Number 2, this made Valvano the low Charles shot in Albuquerque off the miss by Wittenberg when they beat Houston, a Houston team that had Olajuwon and Drexler. This shot, first year CBS had CBS had the tournament in 83, and there's Valvano running all over the place with the low Charles dunk with Gary Bender and Billy Packer. No question about it. That is the 2nd most significant.
Disagree.
shot
I'll tell you why in a
sport.
minute.
And of course, it's the NCAA tournament. You still see it today. And then number 1, you can pick 20 of them. You saw the highlight of Jordan against Cleveland. You could use Utah in Game 6, but I'm going to go Jordan against Georgetown. This is in 82. First year CBS had the tournament. This jumper by an 18-year-old kid that not that many people knew about against Ewing and Georgetown set the stage for this incredible career. Not only that, it's Dean Smith's first championship. One of the all-time great coaches had not yet won a title. So that shot with Ewing against him, that's Patrick Ewing's Georgetown team and John Thompson, that shot in New Orleans in 82, to me, is the most significant shot I've seen, and I've been watching basketball since the late 60s, not freaking some dopey thing in the Olympics. That's the biggest shot I've ever seen in the history of the sport. Jordan, Charles, Magic, Kyrie, and Nelson, and I don't think there's even a debate.
Oh, of course there is. Let's start with number 2. And one of the greatest moments of all time in college basketball, Lorenzo Charles with the dunk off Derek Whittenberg. He's talking about shots. Derek Whittenberg threw up an air ball. Lorenzo Charles just happened to be in the right place at the right time and dunked it in. So as far as shots go, it was an air ball. It was a dunk. So that's out. That's absolutely out. I can understand you want to talk about Jordan against Patrick Ewing's team. And remember that game like it was yesterday? I believe it was played on my birthday. No, Magic and Bird was played on my birthday. But that game, you want to talk about Jordan making a shot, an 18-year-old. Chris is right there as far as against Georgetown. I get that. What you got to remember in that game is Freddie Brown at the end threw the ball away. Georgetown was coming down the floor and just by accident threw the ball to James Worthy, who dribbled out the clock down the stretch. It was horrible because I do believe Georgetown would have got that last shot off and they would have had a great chance to win. Freddie redeemed himself a couple of years later when they beat Houston in the championship. But that is, I can understand that one. The Don Nelson one, as far as being a Celtics fan, yeah, it's a good shot. Great. Come on. There have been some much better shots than that for the Celtics. I can probably think of 8 or 9 off the top of my head that I would put ahead as far as greatest shots of all time. That ain't one of them. That's not one of them. I agree with the significant impact of the game as far as the Celtics last championship for Russell. I understand all that, but no way. The Kyrie thing, I think, is you can make a case for that. I think you can make a case for that. But I mean, he tried to get top 5 shots of all time. I'd have to really think about it for about an hour to come up. Because I can think of 10 Celtic moments on my own. I can think of other collegians who made some great shots throughout the years. But the problem I have with the Lorenzo, Derek Wittenberg threw up an air ball. As great a game as that was, and one of the great games of all time, the shot was an air ball. So anyway, all right, joining us right now, incredibly, he's 2 for 2 today. The sports professor, Rick Horrow, is joining us fresh off from his wonderful trip to France. And he joins us here on the Pete Shepard Show for some time today. Thank you, Rick. How are you doing? I can't believe it.
More important, how are you feeling? We won't get into the story, but are you feeling kind of lightheaded? It's kind of hard to ask that question of somebody who is inherently lightheaded. You're lightheaded like every minute.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, no, I came home. I got dehydrated badly playing golf and made my way home. Took a nice medium cold shower and then had something to eat and took a nap for about 2.5 hours and felt great when I woke up. But yes, thank you for your concern.
My concern is very deep and honorable and not gratuitous. As you know, you stopped there just on the cusp. You were about to say a bubble bath, right? Did you take a bubble bath? Is that correct, or a shower? What did you do?
I took a shower at a big, nice stand-up walk-in. Yes, I did not take a bubble bath, although I am willing to learn.
Well, listen, learn by yourself, man. I'm not going to teach you, nor I am your agent relative to this, Angel. Do not get involved with him and his baths and his bubble baths. It doesn't end well. Does not end well, Angel. Right, just so you know.
I can't remember the last time I took a bath. We're not talking about like a whirlpool or something like that. I can't remember the last time I took a bath.
Yeah. Well,
I can't remember. You? I mean, you not including your fancy hot tubs and your pollution.
No, I could. This is the time for some really good one-liners, but to the extent that you ever want me on the show again, I think I'll refrain. I think I'll probably leave that one alone. But by the way, do your viewers? Good get, by the way, Angel. Do your viewers know that Zagacki is coming on?
Yes, they do. I've been promoting it all day, and I'm hoping that if he's not listening, because you know him, but you haven't talked to him in a while, and you know Joe's one of the great guys in the business, legendary announcer for all sports for the Miami Hurricanes, but particularly football. Just one of my favorite people in the world.
Well, and he doesn't talk about it a lot, but during Hurricane Andrew, he was. Matter of fact, there was an accident. Now we don't need to talk about it because it's years ago, but he was out front on all of the charitable relief stuff with Andrew years ago, and he is philanthropic. The other thing about Joe, and I'll say this on the air when he gets on, he is. Of all the announcers or people in the business that I know around the country, he has done the most with building a brand around a particular niche than anybody alive. You think about the University of Miami, ups and downs. Unfortunately, it's easy to be a commentator for a program or a homer in the 80s when Jimmy Johnson bought his way into all those national championships. Not so easy in the last 15 years, right? I mean, we would all agree. And Joe has transcended that. So I'm hoping he knows how to tell time. You think he still knows how to tell time?
Oh, yeah. I think so. I think so. I'm just hoping. I had him on a couple months ago. I was like, I hope you're not still psychologically damaged as I am after the Georgia Tech game.
That's not. Hey,
but that's the past. That's the past.
But that's also not going away in a year. We're going to be sitting here. You're going to wheel me around when I'm 90. And we're still going to be talking about why didn't that damn guy take a knee? Seriously, Angel, where are you? Are you? I've never heard you this quiet. Are you sick? Are you okay?
Oh, he's monitoring.
Oh, he can't do two things at once. Is that the deal?
No, usually when Pete has his guest on, I have Pete and exactly. I have Pete and his guest talking, and then towards the end of the segment, a lot of times I end up popping in. But no, I did hear, and thankfully he did get hydrated, so he's back with you here today.
All right, good. Well, that's very good. I appreciate that. Now go back to being quiet. You're not going to get a word in edgewise. I just want to be respectful. Now shut up.
All right, goodbye.
By the way, most people who go to France come back 5-10 pounds heavier. What are you, 35, 40 pounds, 27, 20? What's the number? You definitely have lost some weight. You look very good, happy and handsome.
30. Don't you call me handsome? Don't get any ideas.
I
37.2.
mean that in the most non-effeminate way. Yeah, how many?
37.2. And luckily,
Wow.
none of them out of my brains. They're still firmly locked in place. And the ego. The brains and the ego are firmly locked. They're not going anywhere, as you could probably gather from this.
We'll get to France in a second, but you've had a couple of interesting months. You almost had to have an emergency blood transfusion. Your Duke almost bit your hand off by accident.
There you go.
I know.
Yeah.
He's got a hole. Put that way up.
I don't know if you can see it. There used to be some skin there. And by the way, do you know how much you use this? I mean, this is the second most important appendage in my body right here, man. I'm telling you, that is.
You don't want to lose that digit. I mean, that changes everything. That's a whole new ball game.
That's a whole new ball game. I can't go through life going like this, man. That's all I gotta say.
Can you put it up to the camera like that, to your computer camera like that? I mean, really up close to it, because let people see the sky. There's a freaking hole there.
There's a hole.
Wow.
There's a hole there, but. And when you carry stuff, it hurts. And the hand guy, who's the best in South Florida, which is really good, said, if you didn't go to the ER the night you got this happen to you, which was Memorial Day night, you might have lost your hand, let alone your finger, because I wanted to bandage it up, put some soap on it, and see what would happen in the morning. Well, it would be infected. It would have been. I mean, you wouldn't even want to believe it. So then, 23 stitches in the ER. I don't know if I told the story, and if I did, I'm sorry. I'll do it quickly. But it was Duke fighting over a bone, and anybody that has dogs, which is everybody who's listening, don't take a prized bone away from a dog because they don't know what's going on. And he's the sweetest dog ever, but then he started growling for the first time in 5 years, and I'm the idiot because I should have done something about it. Anyway, he's over it. He's been trained. He's repentant and all of that. But I had to go to the ER. And yes,
shut that off. Thanks.
You see, I told you he couldn't. I told you he couldn't multitask. I mean, I guess we just gotta. I keep the story straight to minimize all the issues. So I'm in the middle of the ER in Riviera Beach, and it's 2 a.m, and there were a lot of people in there. They were there for reasons, let's just say, that were unrelated to dog bites. But I'm there, and they're all looking at me saying, is this guy, should we bother him? Should we leave him alone? But I was like dropping large amounts of blood on the floor. So they left me alone. They said, no, we're not screwing around with this guy. Yeah. And then the Stitch man, who was a big sports fan, he said, oh, yeah, I know you. I know who you are. So you don't mind. It's 1:30 in the morning. He says, you don't mind, stick your hand in formaldehyde or whatever the hide is.
Oh!
And it was really, really stinging. And he said, look, we've taped the Celtic championship. We've taped this game. It was Memorial Day night.
Dallas,
we have 2 minutes left. Yeah, we don't know who's going to win this game against Dallas. So, just sit here for a while. We're going to come back in 10 minutes. So I had to wait for that guy to luckily it didn't go into overtime or I'd have lost my hand. Anyway, enough of that.
Oh, my God.
Sorry. Yeah, great story.
No, while you're in the hospital at Riviera Hospital,
they
have shrimp cocktail and
no, but believe me, it was not that kind of ER. I wish it was. I went up to the receiving nurse, and everybody was like looking at me like, "Why are you there? You wait till you're called." And the lady looked at me and said, "You see all these people?" I said, yeah. Said, you're after all these people. Go sit down. So, yeah, but I'm bleeding. Well, they're probably bleeding too. Go sit down. So it was like, I'm sorry. Yeah, I couldn't pull a don't you know who I am. I don't think
that's amazing, though. You're bleeding. You're sitting there bleeding pretty profuse. You're telling me everybody was bleeding as badly. I can understand if somebody was having a heart attack or something. And what if you're having a heart attack? What do you wait in line for that? I mean, I really don't understand the protocol. And my sister-in-laws are all nurses too.
Well, you tell your sister-in-law that there were 10 people in that Riviera Beach ER who had different and diverse maladies that were probably rising to the level of losing a lot of blood. There was kind of contortions in there, and there were drug issues in there. And, the one thing I didn't want to do is butt in line, from somebody who had just lost a knife fight. You know what I'm saying? That wouldn't have been good. That wouldn't have been good.
So, well, glad you're okay. Glad you're okay. Glad Duke was okay. So that's
well, thank you. Thank you.
So we played all the great videos and very entertaining and informative stuff you had in France. But just outside of that, the whole experience, what was that like? How many Olympics have you been to? I know you've been to others, but I mean, what was this like compared to some of the others? And the people in France, I think, still have a bad reputation towards Americans from decades ago. I don't think that's the case anymore. I've been all over Europe. I have not been to France yet. But everybody that I know that has gone there, that stuff about how the French treat Americans like crap, I think that's over and done with. At least that's what I've heard. But what was your experience like there overall?
Well, 8.5 days, started in Dublin, gave a speech there, and played 4 rounds at really nice courses. So I was kind of beat coming in.
Yeah.
But to be able to see all of the prime venues, and I'm selfish at telling this story, but beach volleyball finals, sitting right there at the finish line for an incredible race with Lyles's 100, where the top 4 were separated by 5 1,000ths of a second. That was incredible. The Simone Biles vault win was right there. The disqualification of the boxer because we had some gender issues, and he or she quit. And so there were a lot of storylines that I was lucky enough to be at. And it was just, some of it was random, just being there to be available. The transportation issues were a bit overblown. People knew how to use the subway. There's an equivalent to Uber called G7, where it's the European equivalent, and they luckily had a deal with the Parisian Transportation Organization where they could use the exclusive lanes. So and I'm sure there was a premium for it. I didn't see it yet. I haven't seen the bill. But when you pull up an Uber, the G7 meets you. The rendezvous points are kind of tough if everybody's getting out at the same time. But they go through these special lanes, and I love the idea of driving by have-nots at full speed when they're in traffic. I love doing that everywhere. I love doing that at the the bonus lanes, and it's a great idea to set yourself apart from less important people. How's that sound? But no, more important than that, it was set up to be an absolute unbelievable success. The opening ceremonies, I know there was a lot of grief about the messages that were sent. The grief in Paris was the rain really affected all the spectators. From television, it was seamless because everybody from Celine Dion down, were impervious to the rain. It was like raining hard on a piano, but they're going to sing anyway. Yet all the people that had tickets were saying, it's better to watch it on TV. The tickets were sold opening ceremonies, honestly, for up to 15,000 euros a piece. And everybody was grumbling about that. So that didn't start well for the Parisians, but it was a seamless open to close and everything in between. And President Macron and the head of the French Olympic Committee should be really happy. And by the way, the handoff with Tom Cruise and Mayor Bass from Los Angeles, who I know well, that was priceless. Now you couldn't script that. And the other interesting thing, and we'll talk about it down the road, because not too many people can focus on this, is where the softball and all the canoeing and whitewater will be for the LA Olympics?
I don't.
Oklahoma City, which is unbelievable, but that was part of my deal when we built all the facilities and the Thunder came, and they built a new softball complex. Remember, the College World Series is there every year, and they also have a lot of the international canoeing and whitewater events. And they've convinced people to say, let's do it in Oklahoma City. And the most important thing I've seen in my life are 2 things. One is how the LA Olympic Committee will work with Oklahoma City for 2028. And second is I love the University of Miami, and I really, really want the opportunity to reconnect with my hero, Joe Zagacki. You think there's any way to do it?
I think so. I didn't want to
How's
tell
that?
you the other day, but Joe Zagacki is also joining us right now, the legendary voice of the Miami Hurricanes. And Joe, say hello to Rick Horrow. He's been dying to reconnect with you as well. And Joe, how are you doing?
Hi, Rick. It's been a long time.
Well, let me tell you something. I told Shepard, that if you knew that I was going to come on and give you some grief, you probably would have found a tooth removal appointment and canceled this appointment. So I'm surprising the hell out of you. I said before we start, because I just wanted to cross over for a minute, that I've been around all over just because I'm old and I'm all over the country, and there is nobody, and I mean this sincerely, that has built a brand as well and as competently and as above reproach as you have relative to the University of Miami. And by the way, it's not just the best teams money could buy with Jimmy and Butch in the 80s, but the last 20 years, let's put it this way. It hasn't been a fight for the national championship every year, but you are like the Swallows and Capistrano. Let's see what else. It's like I'll call you Swallow. How's that?
Just show up every September.
Big. That's a big deal. It's important, and I just wanted to tell you. So excited that the earpiece fell out of my ear, but I'm honored to share the space with you. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you for all those kind words. Rick and I don't know. What did we go back in the 80s maybe on talk shows? You were building arenas. You were building arenas.
1880s. We were building arenas. Larry Dorman, there are a lot of blasts from the past who will remember the good old days, and it's fun to see what's happened in South Florida sports and the whole, go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't know, Pete, maybe Pete, you don't know this or not, but Rick was a guy that was fighting for, we couldn't build an arena in South Florida.
I do.
We didn't have professional sports because we had no place for them to play. And it was one heartbreak after another. I can't even remember all the stories, Rick, back in the 70s. It was the Buffalo Braves it was a Harry Mangurian. They were going to move
You got it. Sportatorium.
Sportatorium.
Yeah.
Then they were going to build a place out on the Palmetto Expressway. And it was this team and that team, but we never had any place to play. And Rick was a guy that was able to break through. And if you can break through the politics of Miami, then you got something special, because there is nothing like the politics of Miami.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you for that compliment. I remember, just quick, because we all have stories.
No, take your time.
When the Sports Authority was being created way back when, and I came back from Harvard and I realized I wanted to do sports, but the only way to do it was to get teams and then get facilities. And then Bob Graham, may he rest in peace, he was really a hero here, the former governor. He created the Sports Authority and said, look, we're going to put this together. It'll be politically insulated. I was going to give his eulogy and say, you were the best politician in the world, but you made a mistake on defining what political insulation was, because it didn't happen. And then we had this authority. There were 15 different authorities. Joe Robbie, where's he going to play? Build a stadium for me first, then worry about all these other sports later. And Bob Graham said, I'm going to be your protector all the way. Then after I signed up for the Sports Authority, after leaving a law firm, he said, by the way, I've been elected to the Senate, and I'm your friend, but lose my cell number, call me once a month, I'm going to Washington, good luck. And it was like, all right, fine. And then, you realize that you're in the Wolves. Everybody, as you know, is from Havana from the south or New York from the north, and they gave it their civic office. In Pittsburgh, you could argue that you wanted stadiums for the Steelers and the Pirates. In Philly, because it's fifth generation. In Miami, there was no sports history. Joe Robbie in '66, then they became an NFL team, and then he wanted a stadium, and he made just enough noise about basketball, and we could tell stories about how we got the arena done and the heat. But that first deal with no money for an arena and no ownership and no skybox, we got a commitment from Ted Arison, and then we went to see David Stern, and David said, how much is it going to cost? Or Ted did, and David Stern said, it's going to be $32.5 million. Get that. It's now $4 billion today. And Ted Arison left the office, came back 5 minutes later, and said, you know what? We're going to buy the franchise across the street that sells NBA teams. Oh, there is none. Took out his checkbook, $32.5 million, and the Heat was born. That was the seminal moment. Joe, you're right. Without something like that, we'd still be talking about failures.
I know. I would take it a step further for you. There was no construction in downtown Miami in those years. Downtown Miami was stuck. And so Rick got this arena built in downtown Miami. And now if you look at downtown Miami and the skyline, you could make the argument that opened the door to all the construction that is occurring in downtown Miami. So you'll have a long legacy here, Rick. The only problem with our legacies with people like you and me is that it's such a transient area, no one ever remembers anything.
Well, A. B, it's in Spanish. It's in Spanish. C, whatever happened to that piece of property that you and I were going to invest in, pal? It's just, had you turned that legacy into something, we could have, told Jeff Bezos where to go or whatever.
Yeah.
But look, we're happy with it. We're happy with the skyline. You go down to Brickell right now and you can't see anything. The view corridor is another building. And who'd have thought that 30 years ago?
Right. Yeah. It's come a long way. That's for sure. But we would not have had my father used to say the city of Miami allowed the Orange Bowl game to leave. They allowed the Baltimore Orioles to leave. Let's see what else. Oh, the Dolphins left.
Yeah. And they were thinking about the Marlins leaving, but now we've got a stadium that nobody goes to, which is another story. Hey, can I ask you? Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Are you? I'm a big Miami homer. Didn't go there, but you got to be growing up here. Are you? Do you still have PTSD? Are you psychologically over the take a knee, not take a knee, Georgia Tech? Can we talk about it, or do you not want to talk about it?
I never bring it up to him.
This is the fourth preseason interview that I have done for the University of Miami, and I'm 4 for 4 where have not gotten past the second question on Miami without it being what happened to Georgia Tech last year. And I would tell you, for me, I'm past it. But for them, the Coach Cristobal, the only way he's going to get past that is by winning. He's going to have to win, and otherwise, it's always going to be a part of his resume. Even though, as I told someone the other day, he did win the Rose Bowl when he was at Oregon. That too is on his resume. He's winning the Rose Bowl and going with Oregon. I'm pretty sure the path at Oregon was 4-8, 6-5, 8-4, 12-2, or Rose Bowl champion. Hopefully, the same path is here at Miami. The other part of that is someone said, "Well, what about the players? Will they ever recover from that?" Well, half the team, more than half the team, wasn't here.
And
so it doesn't matter.
It is amazing that Cam Ward is now the great hope for Miami, and Van Dyke takes whatever he has to Wisconsin. I can't wait to see that. But that's kind of an interesting dynamic.
He's a starting quarterback.
But Cam Ward shouldn't have anybody. Cam Ward shouldn't have any trepidation at all. He doesn't give a crap what happened last year, nor should he.
No.
And I have put it past. I've gotten over it, even though I flipped down the ACC network the other day and they were showing it, and I just turned it off. I couldn't watch it again.
But ultimately, the end of that game, and yes, you can obviously take a knee, but that game also was a microcosm of the last 2 years. They lost that game on discipline, lack of discipline. You could say discipline falls into decision making. Okay, they fumbled the ball. The ball. All you got to do is hold on to the ball. You fumbled the ball, and then you gave up a 75-yard touchdown drive in under a minute with your All-American safety, the last line of defense, taking the bait and going out of position. So, yes, it was an avalanche of bad things that happened. They have to get by it. It could have ended with taking a knee, but they fumbled the ball, and the problem they have had the last 2 years, I say this pretty simple to me. It's penalties. They're 90th in the they're one of the worst in the country, 110th, something like that. 90th in red zone scoring and too many turnovers. And often the three intersect. They get to the red zone, they get a penalty, and then they turn the ball over inside the red zone.
Yeah, I could be on for an hour, but Pete, yeah, I got stuff to. I'm gonna leave the crossover, but I do want to say that Cristobal was a genius in turn. And we know a lot of politicians this way. End the year in a mess, so the expectations are low, so you can beat it. It's like what Deion Sanders did: talk a lot, lose late, and then come back early. And I'm only kidding about this. My final question to you, though, is: Can you teach smart? Does this team look smarter and disciplined like what we thought we would get with Cristobal?
Very good question, Rick. I had this conversation on the sidelines the other day about the money being poured into college athletics, into players. And everybody's going the money route because now you can. And I turned to that person and I said, all the money is good, but usually smart wins. And so we'll find out. That is to be answered.
So the answer is you don't know. My final comment is, but you don't know. No, that's fine. I look, as a lawyer.
But I will tell you this. They haven't been smart the last 20 years.
That's fair. That's historically accurate. I will tell you that as a lawyer, it's very hard for me to admit ignorance, but it's become easier as I decide looking at the promised land. I haven't reached it yet. My final comment, by the way, before I say goodbye, is people don't remember, and maybe you don't want to bring it up, and I'll just hint at it, your amazing philanthropic response after Andrew. That hit me more than how talented you are as a broadcaster / voice of, is how you responded to your own personal peril. You can tell that, but that's not for me to talk about. But, some of us remember that, Joe, and some of us will never forget that. So I just want you to know that I love you for that.
I appreciate that. We're coming up on another anniversary. What will that be? 30 some years now, right? Since Andrew?
Yeah.
So for me, it's pretty simple. If you survive an accident like that, then you have no bad days. There are no bad days left on the calendar if you survive something like that. So that's always my advice to people. You probably shouldn't have any bad days on your calendar because there will be one bad day. And for me, I stared right down the, eyeball to eyeball with the end. So since then there have been no bad days.
Well, words to live with, but it kind of puts the why don't you take a knee kind of in perspective, right? And by the way, this Andrew, he's talking about, we're talking about Hurricane Andrew. What Joe and I are talking about is Andrew Jackson. This was like in 1812. So that's
of course.
All right.
All right.
Pete,
Thanks, Rick.
Pete, I'm leaving you. We'll talk later. Joe, I got your number. Pete will give it to me. I'm going to come down to a couple of games this year, so I want to say hi.
Anytime. Come by the booth. We're in the end zone. It's a great view.
All right, good. I hope that's the scoring side for many a drive. All right, man. See you later. Thanks. Bye.
Right. Thanks, Rick. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I thought I'd surprise you, Joe, with Rick. He was we were together the other day, and I said, "Well, Joe's coming on." He's like, "Oh, I haven't talked to Joe in a while." I said, "Yeah, we'll surprise him." I said, "You come on, before him, and we'll do a nice little crossover." That was great. I really enjoyed the conversation. I knew a lot about what you're talking about. I did not know about your incredible philanthropic efforts and about what happened with the Hurricane Andrew. But I know the story was in New England back then, but I understand. And it's an amazing story. Meanwhile, first of all, let me ask you, because I got to get color coordinated. Do we know what colors the U was wearing in Gainesville on the 31st? I want to get my ensemble ready. I want to,
I don't know. I don't know. My guess would be white jerseys and orange pants.
Okay.
Mario likes to go with the classic look, so my guess would be white and orange. I don't know what the Gators would wear. I think Miami should wear, white and orange, and the Gate. I'm going to be the czar of fashion, and the Gators are blue, right? They should wear their blue.
Absolutely.
Both teams should go with their classic looks. That's what it's supposed to, Miami, Florida, a classic game should have a classic look.
I believe, but the only thing I'm saying is maybe take into consideration at 3:30 in the afternoon, it's probably going to be 100+ degrees on the field. I know both teams are used to those kind of conditions down here in this day and age, but maybe it could be a blessing if the Hurricanes wore white and let the Gators wear the Docker colors and be more prone to.
Well, the Gators have to wear the dark colors unless they decide otherwise. They're the home team, so they decide what they want to wear. And there's been no indication that they're going to tell Miami to wear orange and that they would wear white at home. I don't think Florida's ever worn white at home.
I don't either, but like the Cowboys back in the day, or the Eagle rival, they make the Cowboys wear the hideous blue jerseys. I don't know. Sometimes coaches do things they want to psychologically try to psych you out before. I agree with you. I hope it stays like what you said, but we're getting so close. We're 16 days away from what's going to be what I think could be one of the best games of the year, opening game. And you've been on the field. You've been looking at everything. I've been following all the videos as best I can, playing some of them on the show from practice and everything else. What are your overall impressions thus far? I know we talked about a month and a half ago, but what are your overall impressions? What have you seen that makes this team stick out? And I don't even want to talk about last year. Last year's done. Like you said, half of those players are gone. But what is it about this team that you really like? And maybe what are the things maybe they need to work on?
Well, I think they have clearly they're bigger. There's much more size, and so I can remember. I'll go back to I think it was 2012 when Miami played in Chicago against Notre Dame, and we're at Soldier Field, and Miami comes onto the field, and then Notre Dame comes onto the field. And my statistician, Curtis Stevenson, said to me, well, we just lost the weigh-in. And that's really been the case for Miami football for a long time. Until now, they've got size that they're a much bigger team. That's the profile that Mario Cristobal wants to have. That's what he had at Oregon. That's what he had at Alabama. I've said for years, Miami has been undersized. So now they're not punching below their weight anymore. They've improved their skill level. And the other thing that I think is important, you have a player like Damian Martinez that comes in. Okay. So last year, Fletcher is the guy that's going to, he takes over the job, right? And he gets hurt against Rutgers. So we don't know if Fletcher is going to be ready for the Gators. It's probably 50-50. And in the meantime, lost Don Chaney to Louisville. So if you didn't have the transfer portal, Miami would be counting on Chris Johnson, A.J. Allen, and 2 freshmen to go into the Gator game. And that's been their problem for so many years. And my point would be Fletcher got hurt. But if it wasn't Fletcher in the previous years, it was a guy that left early. And he left early, and then the depth behind him was not balanced. And people would go, okay, well, Miami has the kid from
just lost Joe for a second. Hopefully he'll get him back. Damn. Oh, we're on such a good run. I want to text him trying to refresh. He lost it just boom, just like that. No warning.
Yeah, hopefully he'll pop back in because we're on a super roll there, and all of a sudden it just went away. I wonder if he ended up getting the Windows update. Here he comes.
Oh, here he comes. There he is. He's back. Okay, we're good.
We had this the last time.
Yeah, I know. So you're making great points about the running game. Go ahead.
So my point is now they have depth, and they have depth, older depth.
Oh. Damn it. We spent a half hour with Rick Horrow, basically, with no issues.
Oh boy! Right when Rick goes away, then Joe's goes away. So hopefully he'll come back again.
But I don't need to refresh or anything, right?
No. It's just for his it went away. I don't know why, but it went away. I said, hopefully everybody's using Chrome. That's a big thing. And it just, I don't know. I think for those, there's Joe.
Okay, one more time. I started it all over. We
Okay,
X'd out
good.
everything. Start
Are
it
you
all
using
over.
the
Let's see if
Chrome?
it,
Are you using the
let's see if
using
it,
the Chrome app? Because that's big. If you're using the Chrome app, that's the best one for this.
let's see if it works. And at any rate, they have more depth, and so I'm impressed with the.
Oh shit.
Yep.
Uh,
Jez, as soon as he starts talking, it takes it away. So I
darn it to hell. Again, I'll text him. Use the Chrome app because that's so. And he might be. Maybe it's just he might be using the Chrome app.
yeah, it's been popping out. Like I said, I don't know if he has Windows. I know from the Windows update, I've been seeing a lot of complaints with people saying all of a sudden just their stuff is acting funky. But if not, worst case scenario, he could end up calling in.
I'll try one more time. And hopefully, Joe Zagacki, the great play-by-play voice for the Miami Hurricanes, and football, basketball, and baseball, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, it seemed like he just right at the.
He's using the Chrome app. He just texted me, so
Okay.
he's going to try one more time, and if not, the next time we just won't have Rick Horror on as a crossover because Joe was fantastic for basically a half an hour or a good 20 minutes anyway, and then all of a sudden Joe goes solo, and for some reason, oh darn it!
It almost feels like when people have them. Excuse me, those. My goodness. When they have those Zoom meetings that all of a sudden, like, time out after like 15 minutes. I know that's not the case, but it's just, that's what it kind of feels like. Gaspam Guy says, I tell you, for people that say computers and technology is supposed to help us manage, it does give us a lot of freaking problems. LOL. It does, unfortunately.
Yeah, especially stuff that we have here is pretty high-end stuff, and I don't know. It's got to be Wi-Fi related, Wi-Fi connection related.
Yeah, because a lot of times the other big thing, other than using Chrome, which is the best way to use it with the platforms being used here, but the same way I always mention to everyone to try to use Ethernet when possible, because I understand like sometimes like if Mia's on the field somewhere, that's different. She's using her phone to connect, but a lot of times I know certain people like to have certain rooms set up and they like to set up their laptop that way, but Wi-Fi can create all kinds of issues. Ethernet is the best way to get it connected, but I guess he's probably not, unless he tries.
Yeah,
but
yeah, it's probably. Joe.
Let's try this one. Try it this way. See what happens.
That's great. Now you look even more happy and handsome right now.
Yeah.
Okay, we were talking about the running backs again. Joe Zagacki joining us here, Miami Hurricane, longtime play-by-play voice. So, and I agree with you. And I'm sure the student body knows about it, and the casual fan may not know how good Damon Martinez was at Oregon State. He was a freaking beast, absolute beast.
Yeah.
6.1 yards a carry last year, and what a huge difference he is going to make.
He's the kind of guy that Miami hasn't been able to tackle the last couple of years. So I'm glad he's on Miami's side. 4.3 yards per carry after contact, and I think there's going to be a lot of teams that swing and miss trying to bring him down. Originally, I thought with Cam Ward, he would come to Miami thinking he's going to throw the ball. That's what he would want to do, is throw the ball to show off his arm. But now with Martinez and this big offensive line, I'm thinking, well, Miami's got to play a little bit of bully ball, run the ball, and then get in their play action plan with Cam Ward. Ward's been very good in practice for the most part. The key for him, especially in the Gator game, is going to be consistency. He completed over 60% of his passes a year ago, 66%. But in that Gator game, Florida's going to throw everything they have at him. And they're going to depend on the crowd also to take him out of his rhythm. It's going to be incumbent upon Miami to run the ball, get to the play action game, and Ward is going to have to be very consistent in that game.
And also, when I look at the offensive line, I think they're one of the biggest, in the country. They average, well over 300 pounds, I believe, as a unit. But they're all, big bone guys. Zach Carpenter, the center that came over from Michigan, who seems to be at the starting center right now on a lot of people's depth charts anyway. I always not worry about it, but the chemistry between him and Cam Ward so far, you think it's been pretty good overall?
I think so. I think that's going to be, it's interesting to me. I think it's like a sidebar note in the game. Carpenter, this will be his 26th start for him in his career. He started off at Michigan, played 3 years at Indiana. For Cam Ward to be his 45th start. For those two guys, it'll be their first start together, where on the other side, Mertz and Slaughter for Florida, their center quarterback combination will be year 2. So you would think maybe they'll have a smoother operation. I don't know. I think both Carpenter and Ward have played enough football. They played in environments like Gainesville. So I think it'll be okay. But certainly, I think if you want to write up keys to the game, somewhere in there, you got to put handle Florida's home field advantage.
No question about it. And as far as the Hurricanes defense going up against Graham Mertz, I like Graham Mertz. I like him. He's a good kid. He seems very well-grounded and focused. I saw him on Paul Feinbaum's show the other day for about 15 minutes. He's well-spoken. That team, we know the schedule that Florida has. It's the most toughest schedule in the history of college football. But what do you think the Canes are going to do on defense to try to confuse Monsieur Mertz, in a couple of weeks here?
Well, you got to take him out of his rhythm, and part of their rhythm is their run game, and so they do have an injury with Montrell Johnson, the running back. They said he was running on the treadmill yesterday, but he's an all SEC player, and behind him, they have
Tran Webb,
freshmen and junior college transfers. But to me, Johnson is a big key to their offense. But to answer your question, I think the quarterback that's the most consistent in the game probably wins the game. Miami has got to be able to get Mertz out of his rhythm, and the way you do that is by getting in the backfield. Now, he completed 72% of his passes. Some of that is a mirage, Pete, in that 31% of his completions last year were behind the line of scrimmage.
Gotcha.
So those bubble screens and such are an extension of their run game, and they want to get the ball into the hands of Wilson. So Miami defensively, they've got to get – I think Florida goes as Mertz goes. And if Mertz is having trouble with his downfield passing game or he's being badgered by Miami, then I think that's going to spread throughout the rest of Florida's offense. I just think watching Florida this summer, their games last year, their whole key is Mertz. And as he goes, the rest of their offense is going to go. They want him to be able to throw the ball downfield more this year. It's something I don't think were comfortable with a year ago. But Miami's got to get to Mertz, and then you can't let Trey Wilson catch a 5-yard slant and turn that into a 65-yard touchdown.
Totally agree. Last part I want to talk to you about, and by the way, the big Miami Hurricane preview thing in Gainesville on Friday night is going to be at Capone's, which I'll be there. I just want to throw that out. You probably already know that, but if you're there on Friday night, I'd love to have a cocktail or a soda with you or something like that if you're going there. And I'll be at the game, obviously, with a bunch of lawyers on Saturday. But national ranking stuff, I know it gets people are so ensconced with what happened last year and the previous years. Miami at number 19. I think the only person smart enough was Greg McElroy on Everything Football on his show, who ranked them 8th. I don't know if you saw it. He's got Miami as 8th. Everybody else, the USA Today poll, the AP poll has them at 19th. I think they should be ranked higher than that. But McElroy had them ranked higher than Florida State and Clemson, which I thought was not only good thinking out of the box, but his logic was sound, in my opinion. Not just saying that because I want the Canes to do really well, but I thought it was interesting. What did you think about the two polls? Accurate, non-accurate, and then we just lost Joe again.
I think their talent. Mm-hmm. I think Miami's talent is probably equal to Clemson and Florida State. Sometimes that's hard to judge when you don't, see the teams. You're just kind of looking at what they did a year ago and looking at what they are on paper. And then, as the season unfolds, injuries are always a major factor for any team. Sometimes it's a battle of attrition. But to me, the rankings with Miami are always a joke because it's comical to me. If they win, the pollsters shoot them right up the pole.
Yeah.
Because they know. Amy, that when they win, they drop them right down. I've never seen, Miami. There's no other program that has as many highs and lows in the polls as the University of Miami. And I don't know. I remember, I think it was the 1990 game. Miami lost to Notre Dame at Notre Dame. I remember going into the locker room, and the national media, they all said, "Well, boy, it's tough that Miami lost." They were actually like happy Miami lost to Notre Dame. What a great game! But the Irish now are on top. And then the other comment was, "Yeah, but those Hurricanes still are great quotes." People want Miami to do well. They want old Miami. I'm sorry, that's what they want. They want
I agree.
Miami to be what they were. And I'll tell you who doesn't let Miami be what they were, and now they've got themselves in a pickle, and that's the ACC. And if they in the last 20 years had stopped trying to mute or neuter Miami or turn Miami into Duke and Carolina and let Miami be Miami, the conference would probably be a hell of a lot better.
I agree, Joe. Thanks so much, and and thanks for hanging out with the ins and outs on the Wi-Fi. It's not anybody. It is what it is. Thank you so much. And like I said, if you're in Gainesville, if you're there on Friday night at Capone's, all the Hurricane fans are going to be there. It's a big pep rally type thing. So if you're around, please come by. Love to hang out with you for a little bit, and wishing you all the best. Okay, pal. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, thank you. Really appreciate it. All right, quick break here, Angel. I got to go to the bathroom and get some water because John Mita Perella is going to join us when we come back. Part of the Pete Shepard Show here on a Thursday on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
What's up, Southwest Florida? Jimmy the Beef Guy here. Fort Myers, we answered your call. We're pumped to announce the opening of our second location. It's on 41 just north of the Edison Mall. And guys, nothing's changed here. The beef, the sausage, the breaded steak, our Maxwell Polish. Now serving you in 2 locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. And don't forget, if you're having a party, check out our catering menu. And guys, when you're at the counter, don't call it Gardenia. It's pronounced Jardiniere.
Sports Professor Rick Horrow into the $1.3 trillion business of sports. Special Olympic wrap-up. Vive de France. 5 special victories. 5 Olympic rings. Number 1, 754 competitions, sessions, 329 medal events, 32 sports, 6 million visitors flocking to celebration sites, over 9.5 million tickets sold. Clearly, that's a victory based on any numbers. Second, gender equity. There were 96% of the 196 governing bodies represented men and women flag bearers most of any time. Should be very happy with that. Number 3, social media. 12 billion impressions, double that of Tokyo. Number 4, sustainability. 95% of the games, sustainable games, existing facilities used after the events. Finally, maybe most important, the Olympic legacy. 36,800 schools had a 30-minute mandatory physical activity in primary schools. That will continue. Social impact on a national and global scale far beyond the Olympics. Sports Professor Rick Horrow, Viva la France, Special Olympic Edition.
The Pete Shepard Show. It's fun for the whole family.
If it's dysfunctional.
Back here, final segment of the Pete Shepard Show. Ended the break early just because of my buddy John Mita Perella. He's got places to go and people to see. Mita, the voice of the Boston College Eagles, and you see him on the ACC and ESPN platforms doing college basketball and baseball as well. Mita, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Pete. I'm doing well, thanks. I was at Fenway last night watching one of the worst Red Sox losses of the season.
Jesus. Were you in the press box, or could you yell and scream as a fan in the stands? Because I was so disgusted. The only thing is I had some shekels on the Red Sox last night. They're up 7-4. As soon as somebody got on base, thank you, Hard Rock app here in Florida, cashed out, only lost about $4.25 less. And I pat myself on the back, big time, on the shoulder. I can't reach. I'll dislocate myself. But for cashing out early, what an absolute pathetic performance. How many chances did they have to win that game? 5, 6 in that game with the botched double play, the 3-run home run. It was just absolutely brutal. Brutal.
It was awful. It was awful. I was up behind the plate, 3 rows behind the plate with my good friend Rob, who always helps me out.
Dennis Drinkwater Country. I saw Dennis.
Yes,
last night.
I was right behind Dennis. He was frustrated like all the rest. Great crowd, great atmosphere. Felt kind of like a playoff game, believe it or not, against Texas. But Rafael Devers, do you know how many outs there are in an inning?
What is that all about?
Oh, I would have yanked him. I don't care who he is. I would have yanked him. And Cora should have. I know he was DHing.
You would have done a Billy Martin, Reggie Jackson thing?
Yeah, I would have. I said to my friend Rob I was sitting with, I'm like, get him out. Get him out. That's Little League 101. That's worse than Little League. That's T-ball. Jaron Duran, horrendous base running late in the game. Let's see what else.
But that's so weird because that's one of their best parts of their image this year is how well they have run the bases.
Yeah, you're right. They're certainly a much better team usually in that category, but fundamentally they're flawed. They don't have a shortstop, Pete. When you're playing David Hamilton at shortstop, I mean, you just can't do that. And I know Marcelo Myers in Worcester now, and everybody's.
Trevor Story took batting practice yesterday, but he's second base. I understand. I thought last night Meter might be the beginning of the end.
I think it is.
I think that's the kind of loss that just kills you. You're still only a couple games out against Kansas City and Minnesota, but you just get the feeling with Paxton being done for the year. And, Jansen could have pitched last night where they really needed him because they had to use him a couple nights earlier. And it just feels like that kind of loss will suck the air right out of you.
Yeah, I didn't understand some of the managerial decisions by Cora, especially with pitching. I don't know where Lucas Sims was. I know he hasn't been great since they got him from Cincinnati. That's the guy you want in the late innings, I think. They're just not that – they're not good against good teams. No. I think you're going to see them and get exposed here in the next 10 days. And they'll probably end up 500 like we all probably thought they would. They gave us a nice little ride here through the summer. And, but now we can turn our lonely eyes towards your favorite team in Foxborough.
Yeah, well, I don't mind the deal. I'd hated to see him go. I don't mind the deal. Somebody you weren't going to re-sign him anyway. 32 years old, and I love him. He's one of my favorite players over the last really 15 years. I wish he could have been healthier at times. They get a third-round pick for him. I get it. I just want to see. I'm convinced that this team now is, maybe get to 4 wins, maybe. I just want to see the team develop. We don't know what Gerard Mayo and the staff are going to be, the kind of coaching staff they're going to be. It's going to be interesting tonight. I hope we get to see Drake May a lot. It can't come as a surprise to at least a lot of the players that Junon was probably not going to be here. But let me get your overall thoughts on what happened yesterday. I know I heard Felger go off on them, how much they suck and everything else. And I get it. They are going to suck this year. But they do have 4 picks coming up in the top 100 next year and a whole bunch of cap space. So once again, we look forward to 2025 more than 2024. But what's your whole take on the situation?
It's funny, Pete. I talked to a couple fans yesterday at Fenway about it, and they're going to end up. I guarantee you, this is going to happen. And you and I love guarantees.
Love it. Guarantee, Joe.
First or second pick in the draft. Maybe the first, because I can see them winning 2 games and going 2-15 and getting the number 1 pick. They're going to end up with a scenario where they could have maybe the next Patrick Mahomes and Shadur Sanders. And that is going to be the narrative for probably the next year.
Okay. No, but I'm not going to let you finish. But let's remember, his father, who's being a dick the last couple of weeks.
I can't stand
him. And he is controlling. He says he is going to control exactly where he's going to play. If his son ends up in Foxborough, I would be beyond stuff. There is no way Deion Sanders is going to allow. He shouldn't have any say in where his son is going to end up. Right? We've already heard the 4 or 5 destinations that he's picked out for Sanders allegedly. I still if Dak Prescott is a sign, I'm going to go with Dallas for great discussion.
Yeah, no, I think that's probably a likely scenario, but it's a delicious scenario for guys like you and I who do talk shows. Yeah. Especially you're on every day. And I'm only on Sundays for that matter. But and I tweeted yesterday: Are we really burying Drake May before he takes a regular season?
No, you shouldn't. Why would you?
It's pathetic. to borrow one of your favorite words. It's really it's beyond the pale. I think the kid's got a lot of talent. Is he probably not ready? I guess not. Everybody who's down there says he's not. He looks overwhelmed.
Well, it's because he hasn't had a lot of snaps with the ones, right? That's the reason.
Well, I think they're worried about their offensive line as well. They should be, but that's their fault. They've done nothing to correct that offensive line. And that was, Felger's been on this rant. Everybody's on the airways in Boston's been on this rant. And he's right. They don't delineate their resources correctly. They're clearly just in this box of bringing back guys, not addressing needs. Don't know why. Foresight's an issue down there. Maybe Elliott Wolf will change that. We all jump to conclusions. We're jumping to conclusions. I'm not, and you're not, but others are jumping to conclusions on Drake May. I hope he plays, as you mentioned, I hope he plays tonight. Not that it means anything, but get him reps with the so-called ones who are 2s and 3s on other teams, because the Patriots are bereft of talent. That's the larger issue, is that what are they doing, Pete, in terms of spreading out the wealth, in terms of buffering this team? I mean, are you confident even moving ahead now? You mentioned the picks in the top 100. Are you confident in this organization?
Well, that's the whole thing. It looks good on paper for next year, but fans are going to be very skeptical, and I don't blame them for the way this is going. So either Elliott Wolf or Jonathan Kraft or somebody's going to have to take over here. They can't afford to fuck up next year with 4 top 100 picks and a bunch of salary cap money that they're going to have, which they had a lot this year. And I thought things might improve a little bit better than they have. I mean, they re-signed 10 players that some of them I wasn't sure they'd re-sign, but they did. Now, it's just, to me, don't get Drake May killed, progress, want to see the progression, and now I'm really looking forward to mostly that is the last 4 games of the year. We'll see where we are there. But you're right. Patriot fans are going to be so skeptical. Oh, yeah, we're playing for next year. 4 top 100 picks and a bunch of salary cap space. Well, we had a bunch of salary cap space this year.
Exactly.
And how'd that work out?
We heard that same theme. You're going to be hearing it probably for the next 3 or 4 years for where they're at right now. You know how tough it is to rebuild. Although it's really not that difficult if you know what you're doing. And if you actually have a left tackle, like, it's just beyond the pale, Pete, that they don't have a left tackle. I have no idea why that has not been addressed.
Yeah, I don't either. I really don't. What does Mr. Wolf say about? I mean, what does Elliott say about all this stuff?
He's been radio silence. I think he's just trying to figure out where the potholes are.
Yeah,
it's more. I think right now it's above him. It's the Kraft. It's the Kraft model that's kicking in. Some people have compared them now to the Sullivans back in the 80s, and they're going back to those dark days, and Victor Kiam, and before James Orthwine, and let's not go there.
No,
I hope they know what they're doing. It seems to me they don't on the offensive line. That should have been addressed 4 years ago, even when Brady was here. It's just in the receiving situation. We know I like Polk. I think I like Baker. I think, but who knows? The Juju Smith-Schuster experiment was a joke.
It was awful. He's so underachieved. I really thought he would make somewhat of a difference, and I think he dropped more passes than he caught.
It was awful.
Not Aguilar asked. Aguilar goes to where he goes and just starts catching everything again. But yeah, it was very disappointing. And I don't know if Mac Jones had a lot to do with that by not, the offense was so abysmal last year at 13.9 points per game. I was saying earlier to you, I was like, it can't be that. It can't be worse than that this year, can it? Now, I don't know. We'll see.
Might be close. Can they get above 15 a game? I don't know. It's going to be it's a good bet for you, Pete.
But Caden, let's start with the left tackle. You brought it up. Caden Wallace, the rookie out of Penn State, seems to be that's his job to lose if they're. And how is he? Overall, I don't see practice, so I see some videos. But how has he looked? By what you have seen,
based on what reports that I've heard and guys that I've talked to, he's okay, but he's not a left tackle. And this other kid they drafted in the 4th round, Robinson, is okay. I guess they flashed a little bit, but they're not. There's no presence up front that they really can rely on who can be your road grader. You got a Wenyu on the right side. He's maybe even a right guard, but they're playing him a right tackle. They're paying him like a tackle. And then David Andrews obviously is a good center.
Yeah.
And that's about it up front. So you got to get, whether it's Brissett or May or whoever's playing quarterback, is going to get crushed. And you can't move anybody. Like the practice they had on Tuesday was an abomination.
Well, here's what I heard. I heard Drake May, that May started off great. 9 for 9 completions. And then the shit hit the fan after that. That's what I heard.
Yeah, 14 sacks by the Eagles.
14?
14.
Oh, my Lord.
That's up. It was mayhem.
Good. Here's my assessment. That's not good.
That's not good. That's no bueno, as they say in Puerto Rico, where I just came from.
I meant to ask you, how was that?
It was great. We had a great time. San Juan's awesome, as Angel Martinez knows. Had some great food. Had some mahi-mahi, mofongo, little plantains.
Yep, we told you to have that. Yeah.
I hope we are hoping that our friends in San Juan are okay with a hurricane bearing down.
Yes.
You know how difficult that could be.
Yep.
So that was dicey. As we left, the National Guard was coming in, and they're bracing, unfortunately, for the worst. But I highly recommend, hopefully the island will be okay. But and Angel knows full well, it's a great place to visit, and people are very nice, and we can't complain. But I'll tell you what, Pete, it's from the Patriots' perspective, it's a situation where last year was bad. We didn't expect it to be that bad at 4-13. I knew they weren't good. This year, I was trying to think before I came on with you. One of the worst, when you had this feeling when we were in high school, or even before that, when we knew they would maybe win 3 or 4 games. You have that same feeling now, like it's 1988 all over again.
Well, yeah, and look, I had my first year covering the Patriots. They would beg you to come. Was Rod Rust years? I mean, 89, 99, and then Dick McPherson. Before Parcells got there. But to cover those years of Rod Rust and Dick McPherson, I don't want. They would beg media people to come. Beg people to watch. Mark Wilson and Hugh Millen quarterback. Those teams back. Tommy Hodson, another one. Scott Sequels.
Scott Sequels.
It's just, it's going to be that way. But look, if they truly can rebuild, if I see some progression here, that's one thing. If they're losing, like they were back in those years, 38-10, stuff like that, then that's going to be an absolute problem. For a lot of people, I just want to see progression. If it's like, I am not comparing Gerard Mayo to Parcells, but if you're going to come in like when Bill came in and Drew was number one, and even he got banged up a little bit. Speaking of Scott Sequels, but at the end of the year, I think they won their last 4. They knocked Miami out of the playoffs. That's the kind of progression I want to see. Now I don't know if Gerard Mayo can. I almost called him Zach Mayo from Officer and a Gentleman.
Yes,
but Gerard Mayo, mayonnaise. But if Gerard Mayo can be the coach that I hope he can be, we'll see. Those last 4 games are going to be big for me, but we're a long way from that.
Well, when's the last time the Patriots, they're playing one primetime game? All the other games outside of 2 West Coast visits are 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
So no one cares. I mean, on a national level, they just don't care, and nor should they.
Yeah,
I like Detroit this year.
I do too.
I love Detroit, and I know it's scary that too many people love Detroit. So something crazy would probably happen that they're not going to win it.
I like Baltimore and Detroit. I like Baltimore last year as well. I like the Ravens last year as well. And let's see. I mean, Kansas City is still Kansas City. So, but it's tough to win 3 in a row.
Very difficult.
No one's ever done it.
No question about that. Hey, Pete, I know you play fantasy football. You love it.
Only on Sunday. Only with DraftKings and FanDuel.
All right. So I have the second pick in my draft. It's a protected league, but I will have a chance at Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Jordan Love, or Christian McCaffrey. Who are you going number 2 in your draft? Those 4 guys are going to be available.
Oh boy, I think you got to go McCaffrey. Although I would love for you to take Patrick Mahomes, because despite Tyreek Hill not being there, Patrick Mahomes still had unbelievable numbers since Tyreek Hill has been gone throwing the ball. I think you got to go McCaffrey there. You don't think McCaffrey's going to go number 1?
No.
Who's going to go number 1?
Josh Allen's going to go number 1 because this team's infatuated with him.
Oh, that's stupid. But that's your benefit. That's your benefit. You got to. Don't you think you got to take?
I do. The problem with McCaffrey that all fantasy owners hate is
injuries.
Exactly.
But
so then you're hamstrung. All right, are you taking a fly? Not a fly. I took a flyer on A-Chain last year with Miami, and he was incredible before he got hurt. 8 yards a carry.
Yeah.
They're deep in that backfield. What are they saying down in South Florida about that? Not that you're in South Florida, but you're close.
No, well, I love Southwest Florida, but yeah, look. I think Miami. I'm picking Miami to win the division. I think obviously it's going to be a 2-team race, but I have no faith in the Jets at all. But the Miami and Buffalo should be, 10, 11, maybe 12 wins for any of those teams. I think, but I picked Miami. I think Miami has the edge. I'm not fond of their head coach. It just doesn't strike me as a leader type. But you can't argue with the numbers that he's put up, and you can't argue about his offensive scheme. And I think Miami will win the AFC East. I don't know.
I would have loved to see the Patriots hire that type of coach instead of. And you and I talked about this instead of Mayo.
Really?
Oh my God! It's an offensive world, Pete. I've talked to many coaches about this. Some of them who you know. Obviously, I'm close to one.
Yeah.
And
what about they have no faith in New York? Just not so much, and even not so much Mayo, but always. What about Scott Van Pelt? He's the offense coordinator. They have no faith in his ability to maybe draw some stuff up.
They might be better with Scott Van Pelt, Alex Van Pelt. Yeah.
Alex Van Pelt.
SVP might be a better option.
Yes.
He might be a better option, but
yeah.
No, I mean, look, they're only as good as every coach in the world. It's the biggest cliche in the book. You're only as good as your talent. I don't think Van Pelt's the answer necessarily, but his talent isn't either. So they're all hamstrung by it. Look, Mayo seems like a wonderful guy. It's refreshing. He actually talks to the media. I know you like Belichick, but obviously, Mayo gives you at least a little bit more insight. Will that last? Who knows?
But what do you think about the comments he made yesterday or 2 days ago about, well, if we fight in practice, it didn't make sense to me. If the starters fight, then you're going to play the whole game. If the backups fight, then you're not going to play at all. I mean, and I'm like I said to Angel, I hope Drake May gets into a melee because I want him to play the whole game.
He should play at least 3 quarters. I don't know. I doubt he'll play the whole game.
No, but I mean, if we got into a fight, according to Gerard Mayo, the starters were all going to have to play the whole game.
But I say that hedging my bet, and I'm not definitive. It's bad radio. I hate people that hedge, but their offensive line is horrendous.
Exactly.
So I know the guy has to get snaps. I'm all for that, but I don't want him to get killed either.
Yeah, but he's got to get some reps, and he's got to play at least a quarter and a half, I think. I've seen enough of Bailey Zappi. He doesn't have to be in at all. Watch Milton and, Jacoby Brissett. We'll see. I mean, before we end this, let's get into some BC ACC stuff. We are 9 days away. Now, you've been to Dublin before. 9 days away before Georgia Tech and Florida State. You've been to that stadium before, right? When they played Notre Dame.
It was incredible. They played Georgia Tech. It was 2016. It was the opening game. We were there for at least 5 or 6 days. Fantastic trip. Envious of Andy Demetra, the voice of the Yellow Jackets, and Jeff Colnay, the voice of the Seminoles. They got to have a good time. And if you want to, I mean, I know this would intrigue you. They don't play there. They play, I think, every 7 years, something like that.
Yeah.
But you're outside calling the game. It's a European soccer stadium. Fans are all jacked up. It really is an amazing atmosphere.
It is. And just quickly on Georgia Tech, that kid yesterday signed an $800,000 deal with some company.
Haynes King?
Haynes King, yeah. Incredible deal. $800,000 at Georgia Tech. So you don't have to go to any Power 5 power school. You can go to Georgia Tech and make $800,000.
I was at BC's practice scrimmage yesterday, talking to Mike Ruth and Pete Cronin and Ed Logue, all guys that play. All guys that played were stars at BC. They were just. I feel badly for those guys that played in the past because they're so bewildered by this. Like they don't even understand. Some of them said, "Wait until they graduate, and then everything's going to come to roost." Because a lot of them will burn through this money. Hopefully Haynes King won't. I hope all of them know what they're doing. I mean, they're all not making $800,000, but even if you're making $50,000, I hope you know what you're doing with your money.
Invest. Have good people around you, not a bunch of people that want handouts. That's, I've seen people make millions and millions of dollars go broke by hanging around with the wrong stuff.
In a matter of months.
Your new podcast is up with Billy O'Brien, the head coach of the Eagles. So just a brief synopsis before we let you go, as you guys get ready for Florida State, your opening game. But your assessment of the Eagles, how they looking so far?
They're looking good. He wasn't thrilled yesterday, I think, which is good. And he's got that old edge that, he's never probably going to be 100% thrilled. But to me, the one thing I love about this team is the chemistry, Pete, the noticeable intensity, the energy. I know it's that could be ephemeral, but it's one of those things where they're more explosive than in the past, no question. You'll notice that week one from a speed level when you watch them play Florida State. They're not quite where they want to be yet, but they're much closer than they ever were. They're loaded at running back. They're loaded at wide receiver. Linebackers need to come really – they're a little shy there. They got 4 that can play well. That's an area that concerns me a little bit. Pass rush has always been an issue. That needs to get better. But overall, I think, Pete, they're going to sneak up on a lot of people, and they're going to be much better than you think. They're going to win more games than the Patriots. I can tell you that.
Oh, 100% guaranteed.
Guaranteed. Lock it down, Pete and Angel.
Lock it down. I'm looking above for the TNT shit to fall on me, whatever it may be on Barkley, but I don't have that in my house. Maybe palm tree leaves. All right, Meter, all the best, man. You're the best.
By the way, hang on. Greg Dickerson from
I'm sorry, Angel.
Greg Dickerson from Facebook says he loves hearing you guys both at the same time there as far as the camaraderie going back and forth.
We love Greg. Greg's a great guy. He was a Celtic sideline reporter, first the PA announcer, then a sideline reporter, and was a great talk show host as well back in the day. Did some shows with Greg. He's a great guy.
Greg is the man. And Greg bailed me out. He'll laugh at this one sitting in his leafy suburban mansion. He bailed me out in Miami one day, Pete. I was calling the Celtics games, and I knocked on his door. I'm like, Greg, I don't have a shirt. I got nothing. I forgot a shirt at home. I needed to wear a tie. He starts howling. He's like, let me see what I can do. He had 6 in his closet. Hands me one. Thank God it fit barely. And it was an interesting moment because I didn't give that shirt back to Dick for probably a good year.
I don't doubt it. You should have knocked on Max's door.
I was always afraid when I knocked on Max's door what I was going to find.
Well, what about Gorman or Heinzen back then?
Heinzen
Tommy's would have been too big. Tommy's would have been too big.
Tommy was the best, man. I'd go on the plane and he'd say, "Come back here. Let me help you out. Here, have a tuna sandwich. Here, have an iced tea." He was so cool, man.
You could get away with that, but being on those planes, a lot of people don't understand this. That you walk by the food service because they usually have a spread out on these private planes and all that stuff. You don't go anywhere near it. I know Garnett. Who did he chew out? It wasn't you. He chewed.
Yeah,
was it you? Garnett chewed you out. That's the
yes.
stuff. Cage, because you took a sandwich.
It was me. No, it was steak.
Oh.
It was.
Tell that story. I totally forgot that was you.
Oh, that was me. No.
Yeah, listen to this.
I got railroaded by a couple. I forget who said to go up there. Might have been Max Gorman. Might have been Dickerson. Oh yeah, go ahead. Go get some food. It's all you, man. Go ahead.
Oh, Jesus.
You don't have to wait for anybody. So the players are getting their food. I'm in line. I start, pile on my plate. It was Ruth Kritz's Steakhouse. After a game, it's like midnight. I'm starving. So Garnett taps me on the shoulder. I look up at this behemoth, and he starts just drilling me. Like, what the fuck are you doing, you son of a bitch? You don't know where you are. Who are you? I don't even know who you are. And I'm dying. Like, I am dying.
Now, this is on the plane, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank God for Doc Rivers because he rescued me. He says, KG, shut the F up. That's Mita Perel. He's one of us. Leave him alone. Let him get his food. And Doc starts laughing. And I start howling.
I forgot that was you.
Oh, my God. Oh, yeah.
Players don't like to mess with the buffet people. They've had their shot. I'm assuming they had their shot. But they guys in the back, Greg Dickerson and Heinzen and stuff probably said, like you're being hazed. Hey, and Kyle, hey, go up and get some food. Otherwise, you're not in the club.
That's exactly what it was.
I mean, Tommy can get away with it. I mean, that's, no one's going to say anything to Tommy.
Carte blanche.
But I would have paid. If that was ever on video, God, I would have paid money.
It was before probably video phones. Maybe like 2009, maybe something.
08, 09,
yeah. So it was, but I'll always remember it. I was almost like I was just in I went to a different world. Like I didn't know what was happening to me.
And but when you were on with Dennis Callahan back then, but that didn't, that story, did that come to fruition on the airwaves? I forget, because that's the kind of story that would linger for years. On your show, my show back then with Glenn and Big. I mean, you would have been the talk of the town.
Yeah, well, you and I were the talk of the town for some other things at times.
Yeah. You don't want to be on page.
The inside track.
The inside track, yeah.
The Naked City items were the best when I read those. When I read those to John Dennis, and I would always insert John Dennis in there, even if he wasn't in there.
Yeah, Angel. They used to have this thing. These two girls. What are their names? They were great. They were
Bill Fee and Laura Raposa.
That's it. And they used to write a column about radio people, celebrities, quote unquote. And a lot of it had to do with our radio station out and about. Then they would have Tales from the Naked City.
Yes.
And they would say, we saw this person. They wouldn't say names, but it was great fodder for us on when Meter was on with Dennis Callahan and I was on with Glenn on the big show. We'd make a segment out of it, trying to guess who the media, at least the media people, who they were. It was a riot.
The good thing about that, Angel, is that you only had it was only 2 or 3 guys. Especially guys on the prowl who Pete and I both knew well.
A few. Most of the time when I got in there was for good stuff. A couple times not so good, but I had, it's all right. It's
all right. Hey,
no publicity is bad publicity, right?
Badge of courage, badge of honor.
All right, man. That is so funny. Somebody somewhere must have at least audio of you getting chewed out by Kevin Garnett on a plane for going after his Ruth Chris steak sandwich.
I think it was Carl Everett and Dan Shaughnessy. That audio.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. All right, Peter, thanks, man. You're the man. This is great stuff. We'll talk next week.
All right, boys. Have a great rest of the week.
You too, Meter. Thank you, man.
Vaya con Dios.
See.
John Meter Perel, voice of the Boston College Eagles, ACC football and basketball as well. All right, Angel, that's going to do it. What a great show today. This was a lot.
Yeah.
Back to Joe Zagacki. Thanks to Meter. Gospel guys said last week guests were awesome. I love hearing all the stories they have shared together. Yeah, I have forgotten because Meter, the one Meter story he's known for, he's told it on the air before with us, is when he had to go to the bathroom and missed a touchdown for BC for one of the games. It took so long he couldn't get the stream going because he was so nervous about not being able to do it, and then he ended up missing about a minute and a half of the game. Anyway, Angel, thanks so much. Great job today, as always. I'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. I will get you a guest list a little bit later on. This was a whole lot of fun. So we'll recap the Eagles and the Patriots tomorrow, amongst other things. Good to see, by the way, I didn't get to mention Schwarber hitting the Grand Slam. Your Phillies got back on track after losing 5 in a row at home. So that's a good thing. My team's dead like Don Knotts, as I like to say. Anyway, I am Pete. I will be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. right here on the Coastal Sports Network. Bye.